Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series Austin here, as we are almost ready for the round of 8. But before we get there, we have one more round of 16 match to go. I am joined at the desk by Nathanius and in control. Nathanius, you just cast your Terran brethren getting slaughtered. How do you feel?
Feels bad, man.
Feels bad.
We're running a little low on the characters in this tournament that are not living in a pile of filth and creep and spreading it all over the place. I think we need more hygienic players to be in the field. More of the Protoss, more of the Terran. I would say.
You agree with that sentiment?
No, more Zerg the merrier, as far as I'm concerned.
Just slather this whole building in creep while you're at it.
Yeah.
TvZ for days.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And we have another one coming up in Snute going up against Kelazhur. A match that Kelazhur, for me, has been quite... I mean, admittedly, he is an extremely strong player that has been on the rise for a year or two now, I would say. But he killed a god in Neeb, and now he goes up against another god in Snute.
Kelazhur is such an interesting player because he has a very good micro. He's known for being very good at aggressive strategies. He's the kind of guy that will, I think I was talking about it his match versus Sort of yesterday. He went for like a 3-Rax Reaper on Proxima Station, which is actually the worst map that's almost ever been made for a 3-Rax Reaper. And still was able to make the most of that. So he has like these periods where he seems really hot, and then just like sometimes he plays like these guys that are, you know, you would think he could be able to beat them.
Yeah.
Then he just gets stomped on. So I have to take, you know, the perspective of, well, I'm hoping that he can, you know, keep the heat up because I do think of Sort of as a very good player, but I don't know what to expect.
Well, we can elaborate on it a bit more after this, as we do, we are in fact ready for the players to make their way onto the stage. So Smix, take it away.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Colaris. Up first, we have one of 2 Terrans left in the tournament who is also a World Cyber Arena semifinalist. And of course, facing him is the highest earning non-Korean of all time. Please welcome on stage, it is Kelazhur and Snute.
That's right, Smix, as Snute makes his way to the desk. Todd Esports earnings got nothing on Snute. That's probably one of the only players in the field I can really kind of pick that up for, but oh well. As he's going to be going up against Kelazhur overall. Kelazhur, to start things off, you were talking a little bit about him before, Nathanius, but he's a guy that's really found his stride in the past year or so.
Kelazhur's always been a very solid player. You know, he doesn't really do the craziest stuff. He will cheese you if he sees an opportunity. He's very good at it. And I think that bodes well going up against a guy like Snute, who is known for being able to be knocked off kilter, being able to, he's someone that you can tilt if you spray your little decal next to his hatchery and it doesn't line up perfectly, you know?
Oh, wow. Yeah. We've only seen 2 TvZs out of Kelazhur. The 2-0'd sort of, and one of them was a pretty big comeback and a really nice game. The other one was against Ubios, a top North American ladder Zerg, so not really the best test there, but sort of is one of the hotter Zergs in the European scene. I still don't think he's necessarily a Snute, but he's very good. He's one of those players that when they call him like the mechanical monster. He just
Mechanicsburg
grinds you down.
Yeah.
Snute obviously a little bit different, still very top-notch mechanically, but will show some variety in his play and has the experience, which is a big deal here too. We are in the round of 16, so it's getting to that point where if you're going to get nervous, if you're a Kelazhur, where you can kind of smell the big accolades, the big prizes, this is where it's going to be a gut check of sorts.
Snute took Euthermal to the very brink in Europe Challenger, which was probably the best series of the entire Challenger throughout this first season here. Is that something that, you know, lends itself very well to Snute here? Just kind of approaching Kelazhur. Is he a similar style Terran to Euthermal? What do you think?
I think if you go into this match as Snute, you should be expecting Kelazhur to maybe Reaper cheese you on a map where it would work, but otherwise you're looking for very standard styles out of him. Kelazhur is a great macro player. He loves his bio. You're not going to see Battlecruiser Rush out of him or anything super crazy. If you're Snute, you should be going into this confident, but a little bit cautious, because, you know, Kelazhur will throw the cheese at you, but that's about it. I don't think he has anything to worry about.
In control, your thoughts on that?
Just that it's nice to see Snute here, because we haven't gotten to see any of his matches on the mainstream this whole time. And there are, you know, I don't want to go too far onto this, but there's definitely the Snute that is like confident and feeling good.
Yeah.
And he's also very like a temperamental player. If he feels rested, if he feels mentally sound, then he is one of the absolute best. But if there's anything that's kind of under his skin, it can really bleed into his play very quickly. So we'll get a quick assessment of that here. But I'm also excited for Kelazhur. This is a guy that sent himself, or maybe his team, I don't know the whole, you'll have to pardon me. He went to Korea and trained and immediately got some good results out of that. And that's the kind of StarCraft feel-good story that you like. Can he turn that training into beating Snute in the round of 16? That would be a huge payoff. Just getting the round of 16 is not the biggest of deals for him.
When I look at Kelazhur in this tournament, I think back to Masa in this tournament last year, where we know he's good, he does great at local stuff, but no, he hasn't made the big international splash. He's not the guy that you pick to beat Snute. He's not the guy that you pick to make it to the top 4, but we know that he has the potential, just like we said with Masa last year, and then he made an epic run. This is Kelazhur's opportunity. You know, if I'm thinking back to like a Lambo, like this is his chance to say, hey, I can take out a big name and solidify myself as a top NA Terran.
Well, closing thoughts before we get into this series, boys?
Just off of Nate's thoughts, I like how much I hear ourselves saying that, but I think that is the WCS format flourishing. We have the tried and true guys that got here by winning, and then we have a bunch of people that are trying to earn that name, and that is exactly what WCS is about, I feel.
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
All right, well, we are ready to get into our next series here. A Snute going up against his opponent in, obviously, Kelazhur. I don't know why I keep forgetting these names, but we're going to head over to the commentary team for WCS Austin. Take it away, guys.
G'day, Austin. It is time for another TvZ between Diego and Jens Waller Asgard. Liquid Snute, the greatest foreigner to have lived back in the day. Now that title up for contention with so many of these foreigners getting so good at this game. Cannot wait for game 1. This one promises to be a bloodbath. All right, in the top right here on Proxima Station, we have got OSC Root Gaming's Kelazhur. And at the bottom left from Team Liquid, this is Snute.
Both of these players have been practicing incredibly hard leading up to this tournament. Kelazhur spent 3 months, 3 whole months over in South Korea, laddering like a madman. Made it as high as top 20 on the Korean Grandmaster ladder,
That's insane.
That's no joke. If you make it to the top 20, you're basically pretty close to getting to the bourgeois status in my book.
And a couple of the guys in the base trade TV house in Korea actually have made it to COS as well. I mean, you know, Major made it, Scarlet, she managed to make it as well. Pretty sick results from these guys so far. I mean, of course, Major doing well at this tournament, not quite getting as far as he wants just yet. But
a great initiative actually, the base trade house. Like a lot of these guys getting some really good practice and then showing up and putting up results. Kelazhur already beat Neeb this tournament. You know, they talked about this a little bit on the desk, but that's a big deal. You can beat Neeb, you can beat anybody. Now he goes up against another test, though. TvZ, his best matchup by quite far, I think. On a league like this, he has an insane win ratio in the matchup. Does have a losing history against Snute, but I really feel like as of late, it's only when Kelazhur we're really starting to see him basically go up to his full potential and improve a ton.
He's come back from the Korean hyperbolic time chamber. Does he have the guts to be able to take on Snute, someone that he, like Todd just mentioned, historically does have a losing record against? Something like a trip to Korea certainly can change that. I've seen it happen in the past. This Overlord going to take that high ground and hide for this pesky Marine trying to gun it down. Some players like to lift up their barracks and have a look and pick off that Overlord, the early Overlord, which upsets the Zerg a little bit. But in this case, a lot more important for Kelazhur to get that reactor done, to get those Hellions out and transition here. He's got this little SCV sort of sitting in a precarious position. I think we might be seeing a proxy starport here.
Yeah, Kelazhur might be wanting to get a little bit cheeky here in game number 1 and try and surprise Snute with some early on aggression with this. Yeah, the starport will go down. Snute all alike though. I nickname him the grinder. Like he plays
he
almost more than anybody else. He plays a ton of games. He finally broke that 7,000 MMR on the European ladder, which if you can do that is, I don't know if it's more impressive than top 20 Grandmaster on the South Korea ladder, but it's extremely impressive as well. And going into this matchup I do think Snute should be the favorites.
I would say so. I think Kelazhur winning this series would be an upset, but you know, we've seen some magic happen in this tournament so far, and the day is not done yet. We still have the round of 8 after this. It's the last round of 16 match. We do actually, it looks like it's going to be some Hellion Fairy play with Medevac here. And that is a very strong strat. I've actually seen Kelazhur do this before. And it's going to be completely unscattered by Snute. We see the Overlord scouting path. He is just basically taking the most direct path to the natural. He's got one situated on the main that he can sack for later. This Overlord may catch the Medevac, but it'll be too late by that point.
Snute is known for droning very heavily, and if you let him drone, usually if you're not able to do any kind of damage early on, you're going to be in trouble and fall behind and then lose. So I think it's very important to build up a rhythm, do some economic damage here and there, and what better way than 4 Hellions being dropped in the main for some Texan barbecue.
That's right, here comes the barbecue right now. Let's see how much he gets. Roasty toasty here. 4 Hellions heading straight to that main mineral line. The Zerglings coming as quickly as they can. Oh, Dried Micro here from Snute to keep those Hellions from getting deep into that mineral line. Actually taking a lot of damage for those Lings, but they do get buried. This Medevac helping out Kelazhur quite a bit here. The Lings not enough in number to engage these Hellions just yet. Denying mining from the back natural.
And not many drones died just yet. The Queens were, it's funny, they were around the natural.
They're coming back. They're stacking a little bit, but these Hellions are engaging the Lings for starters. All 4 of them still alive. They are getting quite low, though. It's very annoying for Snute. Snute loves to have Queen defense into that game and not rely too heavily on Lings. Always leaving the main a little bit naked here. The Medevac is getting quite low.
Kelazhur not going to choose to sack his Hellions. Does lose 1 there, but he's bought himself a lot of time here and really bothered Snute here, I think, with this.
Well, with the Liberator follow-up, this is very strong. Doesn't need a tech lab or any add-ons for this Liberator. Parking it right over the main hatchery. He doesn't care about Queens. He's targeting the drones. He can actually kill lava and eggs as well with the Liberator. Decides he wants to pull that out before it dies. And the Queens won't catch it, so it does escape. And all things considered, Snute's, you know, worker supply is still in a pretty good spot. Oh, Kelazhur, no! Oh, just managing to save that Medevac at the last moment there. The Queen anti-air range is huge. And, you know, the economy of Snute, I feel, has like not been upset that much at all by this attack from Kelazhur. Yeah, it was a nice move, but it didn't actually pay off as much as he wanted.
He didn't lose that many walkers, but lost a bunch of mining time. So I do like this for Kelazhur still, that the fact that he was able to go for that. From there, what does he know, Kelazhur? I spoke with him, and he did admit that he knew that Snute can be a turtly player. You know, it's going to be a lot of the time Roach, Ravager, Infestor straight into Hive play. Yeah. Much like we used to see a lot of out of a Zerg player like Nurtio, who was kind of like the master, like the best player of this style. Snute also kind of trying to master it, almost like in his own way. Snute does make more Queen than most Zergs to try and defend with. So far, it's paid off because he's been able to clean up everything, but yeah, he did suffer a little bit of economic damage here and there. It's 60 drones now to 49 SCVs with the 3rd base about to be set up here for Kelazhur.
That's right. And Roach Ravager is going to be pretty good against dealing with anything on the ground, and also very good against things like Liberators and that sort of tech option here, which we know that we know that Kelazhur has been using Liberators, but not to great effect just yet. And with this position, the starport just being shown by Mapu, our observer Kevin, he cannot put an add-on this starport. So if he ever wants to add on that starport, make 2 medevacs at once, that kind of thing, he's going to need to bring that home or land it somewhere else.
Shout out to Mapu, holding down the fort.
We have
observing every single game.
He doesn't take breaks like we do, so we have to give him a lot of love. He's been working very, very hard, and very, very good job. Infestation Pit on the way here for Snute, and we're going to be seeing him power into Tier 3, or even just go straight into Infestors. Infestors marry up very, very well with Roach and Ravager, as we saw in Game 3 of Snute, of True and New Thermal.
And Snute, also one of those very good Infestor users, always knows when to fungal and when not to fungal, positions himself very well. When he gets these guys, you can be sure he's going to make the most of them.
Yeah, a lot of creep here, and Kelazhur starting to work on those tumors, clearing it up a little bit. Kelazhur's not the kind of guy to overextend too much, but he's taking it easy, just clearing up on the edge. He is starting to move in a little bit far here, and this is dangerous for Kelazhur.
Yeah, the problem with cleaning up creep like this is that if you don't have enough army to be threatening at the same time, the Queens are going to move back in that position and re-drop some creep tumors, and it's almost useless to, to clean it up. And actually, so far, the creep spread has been quite good here by Snute, I have to say. It's almost reaching the middle of the map there.
Yeah, I mean, Snute, like you said, he's the master of queens. He takes so many queens. He's got plenty of energy. He primarily uses them to defend. We have finally a good number of drones going down to these Liberators, actually making the worker count quite close for Terran and Zerg. Normally the Zerg's up by a fair bit more at this point. It's dropping spores now. It's been pretty annoying to deal with these Liberator harassers. And yeah, 3 Ravager Biles is all you need to take that Liberator out, but it's just going to reposition itself, get a couple more drones and leave. And we saw the armory go down for Kelazhur, so he's going to get 2-2 nice and quick. It is a little bit behind the Zerg though. There's those 3 Biles.
Kelazhur's doing damage here, and they're very consistently. He's killing 3 drones, 5 drones, 3 drones. So far, he's killed 19 drones in total in this game. So he finds himself on 66 SCVs to 70 drones. Not bad at all.
Yeah, trading pretty efficiently, all things considered. And he's rightfully getting tanks, and this is a fantastic option against Roach Ravager. A lot better than Widow Mines with the bio. Marries up quite well. And here are those infestors on the way for Snute. Like you just said, he's incredibly scary with them. So this is a bit of a time clock here for Kelazhur to get some damage done before the mass of Zerg gets too high. Hive on the way as well for Snute at this stage of the game.
Yeah, those upgrades, very important. The fact that Snute was able to get these so comfortably here in this game is going to play a huge role as well. Did prioritize the missile attacks instead of melee here for now. And we're reaching a point here where if Kelazhur wants to be a little too aggressive and overextends, he's going to be in a lot of trouble because those fungals are going to start landing here, and Snute is going to be fishing for that. He doesn't quite have enough energy here just yet on these infestors, but he's closing in. He's on 70 energy on most of them.
Yeah, he didn't get Pathogen Gland, just went straight into infestors. We got a drop here with just, it looks like 7 Marines in the medevac, too many roaches in the main, and also a Spore to help out as well. Not going to get too much done there. Spire transition for Snute. This could just be a small amount of unit mutas, but I'm feeling like it's probably going to be Corruptors here to marry up with this army. Does very, very well. And here comes Kelazhur's push.
And then Broodlords, I'm sure he would love to reach these. Kelazhur is going to want to do maybe some sort of push here, pre-hive. Snute looking to try and land the fungals. I think Kelazhur knows, so he's just going to pull back, try and let these tanks cover his army. And you don't want to step on creep against this. That's the thing. So he's going to try to drop and basically pull Snute out of position if he can.
Snute's been leaving a small number of roaches, knowing that Kelazhur loves drop play. Most Terrans do. And unfortunately, that gets cleaned up completely here by Kelazhur. Not getting too much done there at all. But both players are approaching max. 2-2 about to finish for the Terran, and this is a good time for Kelazhur to try and get some damage done. As pointed out by Mapu, we actually only have 4 medevacs to heal all of this bio, so it's a little bit precarious. Oh, he's unsieged, and Snute's coming through with some bios. 1 tank goes down.
Yeah, that's a big win here, delaying that push even further. Snute, like, when you play with this very heavy roach style, even though you're going to have infestors and ravagers, 1 medivac here, 1 medivac there, you can be forcing fungals by dropping with just 1 medivac at a time. So Snute adjusted his play, and he made spores in every single base that he's got. He's got 3 in the main, 3 in the 4th base. And now he's got a greater Spire on the way, and I think Kelazhur, he's feeling a sense of urgency right now. He wants to push in, but if he moves up that ramp, his army's going to get fungal, and he's going to be in a world of trouble, Maynard.
Yeah, there's a fungal there. Not the most incredible fungal in the world, but does do a little bit of free damage there. That's just energy for damage, which is what Snute wants here. Plenty of fungal energy on those infestors on the top of that ramp, and Snute's just playing, he's being very, very patient, which Snute tends to be. He's not afraid of going to the super, super late game. Look at that creep spread, Todd. It's pretty incredible at this stage.
A drop in the main actually flies into these spores. There's so many spores. Snute, you can tell, he's played a lot of games against Terran, and he was just fed up of these medivac drops, abusing the fact that he had to keep his army at the front as well against the main army.
Well, when you're sick of drops, just over-prepare. Like some people say, oh, it's inefficient, but if it keeps stopping the drops, then why not? We got Kelazhur stimming up on creep, clearing up more of those creep tumors, trying to stop that incredible creep spread of the Norwegian Zerg.
One-on-one.
Transfusing that roach. Make sure he wins the fight. And actually, Pathogen Glands nearly finished here, so future infestors will have more energy. 3-3, nearly done here for the Zerg's Roach Ravager army. And Roach Ravager is not an incredible super late game army, but it seems like the Broodlords are not far away here for Snute, as the Great Aspire is done. Corruptors are on the way now. But Kelazhur, he knows the timing. He's starting to produce Vikings.
Yeah, we never had a second factory actually made from Kelazhur, but at least getting that second starport is going to be very important in getting enough Vikings to deal with these Broodlords. Keep in mind, Broodlords are very slow. If Kelazhur thinks that he cannot beat the army of Broodlord Infestor plus whatever, like all these roaches in support, he might be going for a counter drop, like a big Doom drop.
He's doing it right now. There's a huge Doom drop here at the bottom of the map going for the main. There are a couple spores, and that works against a few medevacs, but when there's this many, I don't know. And that's actually, I think, all of these medevacs, by the way. He's going for the big drop here in the main. Can he stop 3-3? That would be pretty incredible for Kelazhur. No, it looks like they're going to finish. Oh, looks like +3 Carapace denied. +1 missile attacks is going to finish, though. It's going to start Carapace on that. It's going to deny Carapace again, but +3 attack at least done for the Zergs, so they hit very, very hard here. And 2 medevacs. 1 full medevac got taken out. Snute trying to catch the other one. Fungal catch there from Snute, and he's going to bile it down. Beautiful catch there from Snute, shutting down the last medevacs there of Kelazhur. He made his second starport back at home, but they've just been used for Vikings.
Yeah, I don't know if he realizes that he doesn't have any more medivacs. Like I mentioned, that if you think you can't beat your opponent's army, then a lot of the time you're going to want to be going around and trying to counterattack, trying to do counter drops, just because you can't take on these Broodlords and Infestors. And in this case, Kelazhur not having medivacs there is not much counter-attacking capability here. I mean, he would have to step on creep eventually, then these infestors, they can come in and fungal his entire army.
I got to say that I definitely prefer Snute's position in this game. That lack of medevac is going to make things tough for his bio. It's going to make it tough to get damage across the map, because this creep is like a giant spider web. He just wants any Terran to come on there, and then he can spring the attack. The Broodlords have joined the fray here. 3 of them being morphed with more on the way. Actually, Snute's maxed right now, so he can't make more at this stage. But he is starting to fill up those upgrades. Even Tunneling Claws getting made here, which is a great late-game harassment tool.
He's like, what am I missing here? I'm pretty rich anyway. Goes for that, and I mean, it could be good if he sneaks a couple roaches here and there.
Yeah, Kelazhur's bio being bullied back here, and again, no medevacs to heal them either, so they just have to stim, take damage, and move back to this tank line. Snute doesn't want to overextend here, and attack into this Terran ball of bio and tanks would definitely be a mistake. Kelazhur with a nice little move here, maybe able to get this hatchery if it targets it down, but it looks like a fungal going down. Not enough bios to burn them all down, so they will get the hatchery before they die.
I think if Snute knew how little medivacs there are, and in this case there's a single one on the map, he would not be sitting back at home. He would be going forward, knowing that Kelazhur cannot really go around his army, trying to basically let the Broodlings land, do their job, and then eventually land those big fungals that he's basically been fishing for the entire game. And eventually, like, if you get those fungals...
Yeah, I feel like the Viking count's pretty impressive here for Kelazhur. Should definitely start getting some medevacs. He's got 1, like you said, it's very, very low in energy. He can't even heal up the stim units that are chilling at that gold base. Oh, Snute's actually got a huge counterattack at the very bottom here. It's outside of sensor tower range. It's going to kill a lot of SCVs here. The Planetary's there is actually in a little bit of trouble as well. Kelazhur trying to repair in time. Is this too much DPS for the Zerg army, though? Oh, the repair's pretty good.
Yeah, these are 3-2 roaches, though. It's going to take a long time to get rid of them. They're going to do a ton of damage to that Planetary. If he could get that, that would be a big win here for Snute, especially since you want to be trading these roaches against something there. The more time passes by, the more you want to replace them by more expensive units and more useful in the fight. And in this case, it's going to be 4 Vipers starting as well as 2 more Infestors here. Snute is working on his cocktail and his recipe here to build the invisible Zerg army of the late game that he thinks is going to give him a good chance against Kelazhur's.
A dash of this, a splash of that, a sprinkle of this. He's got pretty much everything that a Zerg can handle. He's even got Vipers on the way. Fantastic addition to the late game Zerg army to be able to abduct those siege tanks or even blinding cloud the army here. And that's just a ton of Vikings for Kelazhur, so he can absolutely engage this air army of Snute, especially if he doesn't have any Corruptors left after all. Like, if he goes too ham on the Broodlords and doesn't have enough Corruptors, he's going to lose all of them to these Vikings.
The first few Ghosts going to be added on. That base snipe on the right-hand side was a big deal, by the way. Ghosts are very expensive. You need to have a lot of income to be able to afford to make these guys consistently scan reveals a bunch of burrowed Infestors, which made Kelazhur pull back immediately. I think he realized this was going to be in danger. If he could land some big EMP on top of these Infestors, though, Kelazhur surely could just go forward with the Vikings, keep on dealing well with the Broodlords, and then maybe grab a win from there.
Yeah,
that was not a very motivated fungal.
No, that was he only had a half his heart into that one. We have a move up here from Kelazhur, just breaking off some of that bio, stimming in, trying to see if he can hurt up this medevac, maybe get some drones. That is going to be fungled and biled down. Kelazhur is freeing up a bit of supply. He's got a fusion core on the way. He's getting Liberators and +2 ship weapons. So he's going to have Liberation range for that late game. But again, his income is not super impressive. Although that said, though, it is better than Snute's right now with the help of those mules.
I don't know if setting up down there is a good idea. I guess like tanks synergize very well with these Vikings and the Ghosts, but there's also some potential for Snute to start landing a lot of these Broodlings here. On top of this, he flies his Vipers inside of this army.
Yeah, the Vipers go down to these Vikings. Fungal going down on the Vikings, and that's a beautiful fungal. He can chain this down for sure. The Vikings out of range of these Broodlords. The Crucifix's not incredible though, and there's more Vikings left for Kelazhur. And he's going to bully this back. Meanwhile, a small group of bio damaging one of Snute's very important hatcheries.
Yeah, these Vikings are hardly replaceable. It takes a very long time to get them out. Another fungal lands on top of all of them.
Yeah, this is a little bit better of a chain fungal there from Snute. Going to get a few more Vikings. Still more left over for Kelazhur, though. And this hatchery is absolutely going to go down. Kelazhur got cleaned up from the other hatchery. Did hurt it a little bit. Oh, and actually had to remake it here. 9 Infestors on the way for Snute as well. Infestors are an incredible comeback tool, but Kelazhur's army's actually looking pretty good at this stage.
For a game in which both players have been, for the most part, turtling and trying to build a perfect army, I have to say they've done a fantastic job of sniping bases and weakening.
Nukes on the way for Kelazhur. What a swag lord. This is so sick. I hope this comes to play here as we get into the stage. Some players, they get the nuke, but we never see it come into play. But it is such a powerful tool if you get it to pull off here. We have siege tanks leapfrogging forward here. He's on the edge of the creep. The Ghost looking for those EMPs. A nice fungal from Snute. Not managing to capitalize on that bile combination, though. So many Spore Crawlers.
You might just lose that nuke right there on top of all these spores, trying to force an engagement from Snute to come into this army here of the Terran, where you try and then land the MPs.
That's a beautiful target here for a nuke, actually. And there it is. Nuke number 1 going to go down, going to clear up some of these Spore Crawlers, make things a little bit easier for Kelazhur.
Evacuation.
Unburrows and moves back.
Evacuation has begun.
Yeah.
Fly away, run away. There's still a couple spores in the area, but it's going to do minimal damage, this one. But guess what? It's rarely one nuke, is it?
No. And number 2 is on the way here for Kelazhur. Kelazhur moving his army forward. He got rid of some of the creep, hurt those Spore Crawlers as well. So it's giving him a bit of room to move here. He's being very patient and very calm here. This is so unlike Kelazhur to be so calm and so patient. He's normally such an aggressive Terran that's just non-stop aggression all game long. And this is beautiful play from both players.
I think Kelazhur just fully realized this just wasn't working out for him. He couldn't drop. There was too many spores. Snute was too sound defensively. So he's like, you know what? You want to have a big army fight against a big army. I'm just going to sit there, nuke you, and then we'll see. You're going to be the one who loses patience, not me.
Can you out-patience Snute, though? That is a tough thing to do. This kid has been known. He used to be the guy that loved that late-game super turtly swarm host play, but some big parasitic bombs going down, actually, on the Viking army. The air army of the Terran is getting shredded apart by the parasitic bombs, but Split's good enough from Kelazhur to keep a lot of them alive. The Liberators will go down the Corruptors, though. Tags need to pick up and leave. One of them goes down to the Broodlings.
Yeah, Snute's cleaning up here. That big push is going to force Kelazhur back, who doesn't have the greatest of economies behind his north bank. Snute's far superior. He keeps on expanding at the same time. This infestment's on the hunt.
Huge fungal here from Snute. Can he capitalize on it, though? The Broodlord's definitely going to come forward and take out those Marauders at the front. Another fungal to make sure that they have nowhere to run here. And Kelazhur's last bastion of defense is this planetary at the gold. His army supply starting to dwindle here as Snute continues to press the issue. These Broodlords cannot be contested anymore. No more Vikings left. GG. Snute getting game 1 against Kelazhur. Really sick game 1 there. Very action-packed. Ultra late game. We got to see both these players go to their absolute maxed armies with the maxed upgrades. Snute had everything you can get for the Zerg army, barring maybe Hydralisks and Lings. But geez, what a great game to start things off, man.
Going to this series in this match, I think Kelazhur knew very well what to expect. And a Snute who has been known, you know, to turtle. With this style you have to, right? He's either an all-in or you turtle. In this case, he loves to reach the late game where you have many bases, a lot of static defense set up, and he's just a master of this style. Kelazhur knew that. Things didn't work out for him in the first game. He was, even though like that start, I quite liked it from him. You know, he was doing some economic damage, like sure, not incredible amounts, but consistently. He had sniped 19 drones, he had kept Snute down on walkers. Eventually, as soon as Snute got to infestors, he was an unbreakable wall for Kelazhur, so some adjustments might have to be made. Obviously, like we're going to be playing on very different maps. It's Honor Grounds up next.
Yeah, and this is the kind of map where, depending on where you spawn, you can already, right off the bat, have a great advantage for one player or another, because you can be close by air, where drops are going to be very, very strong in that pocket natural. Alternatively, we could also have a situation where the Zerg is spawning all onto the other side of the map, giving him the maximum amount of space, pretty much in the whole ladder pool. To have so much space between the Terran and the Zerg is obviously going to be fantastic for the Zerg player. So
usually when Zerg reaches this army and it's kind of like a split map situation, Terrans will play a lot more defensive than what we saw Kelazhur do here. Even though he had nukes, going forward like this and sieging just right outside a ton of spores, broodlords, infestors. I don't know, like I was really worried, and rightfully so. Like as soon as Snute started gaining some momentum, landing some fungals and parasitic bomb, he just cleaned out the army away and had a super cost-effective fight, and then the counterattack just finished off Kelazhur. So might have to play very differently there.
We'll see. Kelazhur does like being cheeky and unpredictable. Will he pull it up in game 2? Let's see. In the top left here, currently down one map of the series, it is OSC Roots, Kelazhur. And in the top right, this is Team Liquid Snute. Clearly the crowd favorite here in Austin. We'll see if he can come through in blinding fashion. He does have the spawns that I'm worried about for a Zerg. This is very close by air to the Terran. Easily droppable. Can be very, very quick. I mean, it depends if Kelazhur identifies this early or not.
And Snute, a very cerebral player, not just in the way he actually plays the game when he's playing it, but in the way he practices. He's a guy who travels a lot with a replay database, actually. And he studies from it, you know, like he was telling me about his last 100 games versus Terran on ladder. That's the matchup he's been doing the best in. I think he had something like a 75% win rate, which is pretty good. Like usually you're doing this well on ladder, it's gonna translate in those tournaments. And he just looks at build order stats a whole lot, always tries to find ways to get better, perfects his builds. He's not a guy that will do a ton of very different builds. He will be more like trying to perfect the one build that he likes or one style a whole bunch, which in this case is the Roach Ravager Infestor into Hive play.
That's right. He's actually, like, to touch on the cerebral thing, he's actually as smart as he is good looking, which is really frustrating for most people out there. Don't always get that combo. Snute's actually, his stream is fantastic because he always will engage with his chat and answer any question about metagame, his decision-making in games. He's a really fantastic stream to watch when he does do it.
Sounds kind of like Roddy, smart, handsome, and answers his viewers.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe on
some good streams
maybe on
out
a
there
different level, though.
We're pretty spoiled out here. So we got a second barracks coming down here. So this is looking like 2-1-1 here for Kelazhur. Reactor going down on that first barracks as he gets his expansion in that pocket natural. And Snute's going to get that first Overlord to see where Kelazhur is very, very shortly here.
Yeah, Kelazhur getting a little bit of an unfortunate scout going in the wrong direction right now. When he sees that Overlord, though, he should be able... Actually, if he sees it, even.
Yeah, I mean, the Overlord, if Snute chooses to, won't get revealed here. You can definitely see the wall and then pull back. So Kelazhur's going to get that Marine drop happening with Snute. I mean, if Kelazhur was paying attention to the minimap, just saw Snute at the edge of the Overlord there. Reaper is actually going to go to the bottom right, so you don't think he was looking at the minimap there.
I think if Kelazhur had been more consistent with his Medivac production, he would have been a big threat to just keep on counter-dropping a whole bunch and pulling Snute's army out of position. Because Roadlords, Infestors, that's a very slow army, right? So when Snute reached the point where he was taking the middle bases, usually a huge chunk of his army has to stay there to make sure he doesn't get attacked at the front. So if then Kelazhur had started to drop in several places, even if there were spores, you just kind of move away from them with Ignite Afterburners, you drop the units, and the upgraded units will take down static defense very quickly. I think that would have been one of the ways he would have been able to do very well in that first game, but we all saw what happened. He didn't have enough medivacs. Actually, those Lynx running in there, trying to get a surround on those Marines. He's going to get a few of them.
That's right. That second barracks is actually back in the main here, so it's not a full wall off. And the Lynx getting some damage done in the early game, getting some of those Marines. So that actually is going to hurt the drop of Kelazhur a little bit.
Very uncharacteristic mistake here from Kelazhur. Didn't see this coming. Probably didn't even respect it that much when he saw those Lynx moving in there. And it's going to feel weird to have 2 medivacs only dropping like, what, 10 Marines?
Yeah, that's right.
Feels bad, man.
Well, we'll see if we can get damage done anyway. Oh, the Reaper getting caught out in the map here. That does go down. So the map control of Kelazhur all but gone here, and he's going to complete this wall off at least with the last 2 supply depots to make sure he doesn't get supply blocked there. Snute can't come in with the Lings anymore. And the drop will still happen. I mean, he has gone down this tech path, but Snute seems pretty ready for it. He knows that he can drone very comfortably here. He has a good amount of Lings, a good amount of Queens. He's making them 2 at a time. This is the Snute style that I'm used to seeing, where he just has Queens that see like an obnoxious amount of Queens. It's getting up there in the numbers already. It can even go up to 12 Queens. I've seen that before in Snute games. He's actually taking his 3rd at the front here. Yeah. Pretty interesting, instead of taking the back base.
The thing about mastering Queens is that it's good early on, but then the more you wait and the more these Terran units are going to be upgraded.
Yeah, Queens aren't good later.
The better the Terran is going to be in a position. Especially not just these upgrades, you know, combat shield coming into play is also going to be a big deal. And in this case, Snute not adding the Roach one super early, just timing that a little bit later, and getting the double Evo as well. So before any kind of lair starts, I'm pretty sure he's going to be starting his upgrades. Will it be missile once again, though? That's the big question.
I think it will. We do have the Roach Warren down here. There's that missile upgrade for Snute, so looking like he wants to go Roach Ravager again. Worked out pretty well for him in Game 1 on Proxima with those fungal chains. So the drops going in the back here, seeing no hatchery. Snute taking the very vulnerable 3rd, but I guess in this case, it's actually not too bad of a 3rd because it expands away from the Terran.
And Snute's crease rate, again, great. Like, you know, in that location that allowed him to spot this drop very nicely. Like, I mean, sure, he could have had an Overlord as well, but that would have been exposed to getting sniped. And in the middle of the map, he's already reaching that gold base forward. Look at all these guys. Activating themselves, dropping creeps all over the place.
He's not going to have. It's not going to be too long before the creep is actually near the, near the ramp of that fourth base of Kelazhur location.
That's almost overkill,
Yeah.
right there. Like you
That's
don't
a lot
need
of creep
this many tumors.
inside your base. Well,
He's going to make so many tumors that even if Kelazhur scans, he's not going to have time to kill everything eventually.
Well, he does get these fresh ones dropped by this Queens there, and the Queens still, with a nice concave here, should be able to engage these Marines, especially with the Roaches. Absolutely not going to get any damage done. Is Kelazhur. He's going to have to pick up and leave.
Ooh, one Widowmine actually in the natural base.
Got 4 drones, actually. It's very nice. Or possibly Lings as well. But Kelazhur not too bad in the work account, actually. Not too bad at this point.
Lings.
3rd CC on the way as well.
Those were all links. Kelazhur has yet to kill a single walker, which is bad news. I mean, sure, he forced a ton of units, but here we're reaching a point where Snute has enough Queens and Roaches to, I think, drone up quite hard, start working on the 4th base.
Yeah, he's in a pretty comfortable position here. He's locked things down. Obviously, with creep spread, you have map vision, you have extra speed for your units, so he's pretty comfortable at this point. Kelazhur is trying to find an opening with his drops. He could potentially get some hurt on in this hatchery here because, yeah, it's expanding away from the Terran, but it's a little vulnerable depending on where Snute's army is. Actually, going to double drop here.
Yeah. That's only one single medivac, though, going towards the main base of Snute. That one attack, though, Snute was not ready and in position, so he's going to lose 1 Queen.
He lost a couple. We got the medevac here, now heading into the main. Ling run by here from Snute, seeing if they can get a couple SCVs. Looks like he might be able to, or with the medevac helping, maybe perhaps not.
Yeah, Snute's well set up, both in the main and around the 3rd base that he's got. A little bit surprised we don't see him trying to take a 4th base yet, but he doesn't have to rush that either. I would actually really take it below his natural base, on the left-hand side of his main base, just because that's so droppable. I mean, you mentioned the starting positions, you know, and...
I think you're right, Todd. I think it looks like Snute's army is actually clearing out the rocks here for a 4th base, so he's going to have a 4th hatchery down at the gold instead of the back natural, so that's pretty cool. So I don't actually get to see Zergs do this too often, so it's a good option for all you Zergs playing from home.
It's a little bit depressing, actually, to look at Kelazhur killing these tumors, and then every time he kills them, twice as many reappear on the map.
Well, got to use those Queens to full effect, and Snute's the kind of player that doesn't waste the tools that are given to him. Infestation Pit on the way here, so those scary infestors are on the way immediately. 2-2 on the way, but a little bit ahead for the Terran, so at least this game for Kelazhur, his upgrades are a little bit faster than the Zerg this time. And Hive immediately from Snute.
It's almost as if, like, every time Kelazhur scans, Snute just laughs. He's like, oh, really? That's what you want? Oh, it's 10 times more tumors.
4th base getting taken here for Snute, the gold. Really nice position, actually, all things considered.
Still walking on his tumors in the middle of the map. Guess what's going to happen? Queens are going to walk there and redrop them.
Feels
that's a lot of scans, actually, that he spent on this instead of mules.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and that's potential lost income here for Kelazhur. He takes this creep tumors out. It is pretty important to clear up the creep. He does get another Queen kill here. Engages the Roaches for a little bit, but that is a fight that he can't really take here. Pulls back. Spire on the way for Snute again. These Marines can engage these Roaches, and they absolutely will. Moving in on that 4th base, but Snute reinforcing. Big concave on the high ground. And once again, Kelazhur is getting deflected.
Yeah, I think he might want to start doing big attacks both in the main and the 4th base, doing maybe 50-50 splits, because again, if Snute reaches that status where he has Infestors and Broodlords, it just becomes that much harder game to win against him. In this game, he doesn't have a whole lot of spores set up just yet. Like, there's a couple here and there, but it's not like in the previous game where it looked like his defense was unbreakable. Kelazhur actually almost overextending here a little bit. He's just losing a couple units, but no fungals were available just yet. Now they are.
I'm actually a little concerned for Kelazhur's production. He's banking a lot of minerals here, and he is not maxed yet, so he's not making enough units. I saw him just drop a bunch more barracks and dealing with a supply cap as well. So now he can finally get a good number of Marines and Marauders out at once. Spend that money. Of course, we know that the Zerg definitely wants to bank. The Terran, not so much.
Keep in mind, this feels like a way bigger map, right? Like, if Kelazhur started expanding on the bottom left-hand side, we might actually have a proper split map situation. Ooh, that was so close to getting fungled. Yeah,
very, very dangerous here. Does get the tank there. Nice pick off a Snute. And when these things are clumped up, it's very, very dangerous. Kelazhur knows exactly what he's up against here.
Oh, man.
So Burrow not quite done for the Infestors, but now it is. Makes things rough for the Terran. Looks like Kelazhur's breaking off a few medevacs to try and go for the 4th base while pressuring from this high ground.
Steaming forward like this and then pulling back at the last second. I feel like Kelazhur just put his head inside of a crocodile's jaws and then stepped out at the last second.
Well, we'll see if he can tear himself outside of that crocodile in time as
He's
climbs
tempting
on
the
in.
devil, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's poking the beast, man. Stimming on in. This hatchery's actually in a bit of trouble here. This could be a great pick-off for Kelazhur. And he does get it. Lovely pick-off there for the Terran player.
And I talked about the immobility here of the Zerg army at times, not just the Roach Ravager Infestor, like those are decently fast on creep, but the fact that these bases are super far apart here for Snute, that's going to give a good opportunity, like I said, for Kelazhur to keep on expanding kind of safely on his side of the map, and at the same time just look to be active. Always have a ton of medivacs and bio ready to counter-attack, to attack some of these bases wherever Snute's not ready. If he does that the entire game, keep Snute on a lower base count than his own, even if he's not cost effective. Eventually he's going to reach a point where he's maxed out and Snute is not, and then eventually he's going to win the game. But that's much harder to do than say.
Ooh, this could be big fungals here, and a lot of them do go down on those medevacs. 2 of them going down, but the tanks are still alive. Oh, that fungal there could get a lot of Marines, and it does. Snute does have a concave, but does he have enough units? Broodlords are here, and they're going to help it quite a bit. No anti-air, no Vikings here for Kelazhur. He does still have a good number of Marines. Gets the hatchery snipe again, but we know that Snute is not just expanding in one place, he's actually triple expanding. He's making one at the gold, he's making one at the back natural, and he's making one at the further south as well.
Yeah, Infestor were not ready here in that location. One rejoins this huge chunk of the army. Like Snute landed some big fungals, but maybe he got a little bit overeager here against a massive Terran army that's packing a huge punch with a ton of DPS and these 2 upgrades.
+3, well, I mean, 3-3 is definitely ahead for the Terran. He's going to have an upgrade advantage for a little while here. And still no Viking production just yet. These Broodlords are going to get scarier and scarier as time goes on. There they are. The Vikings now on the way on that starport. Has a good number of medevacs this game, at least, for Kelazhur. So his bio is going to be nice and healed. He did lose a couple to that fungal and bile combo, but we can see that Marp is showing us that there's only 1 starport currently for Kelazhur.
Yeah, he's going to have to at least add 1 more, I think, unless he...
second one with a reactor for sure. Coming in again. Snute ready this time. The Broodlord's very, very scary.
How about 2 more starports?
How about that? 2 more starports. He's going to have plenty of production, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Fifth CC on the way here for Kelazhur. The 4th is up. He has a sensor tower there as well, ready for any kind of counterattack. He's covering that gold-based location. He's going to clear up the rocks eventually and drop the CC there.
And Snute droning up a little bit more here. He's added on a whole bunch of spores. He wanted to make sure that his income was still pretty high. He wants to build up that bank, make sure he can replace his army as it will start dying and be traded against the Terrans here. Still looking to try and land these fungals. Kelazhur steps on creep. He's going to commit to this attack, looks like.
Yeah, he's getting real deep here. Will it pay off for the Terran player, though? The Broodlords are actually out of position. Oh my god, they're right under the Marines! They disappear to the bio here. A massive line of bio forces here for Kelazhur, and he's closing the Terran hammer, clearing a lot of those very expensive late-game circuits. Another Broodlord going down at that 3rd base, which is actually the natural of Snute. And these siege tanks, also a nice line going all the way back here for Kelazhur.
This is the one mistake that Kelazhur had been fishing for the entire game. He provoked that by dropping all over the place, by pulling Snute out of position. Eventually, Snute had a bunch of units not ready for that fight here, and for Kelazhur to step on creep and punish that Zerg army. Now Snute trying to scramble, trying to regroup, get a few forces out more, but without Broodlords fighting against these tanks ready and in position, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, and there's a very big spread here from Kelazhur. His army is in 3 big chunks, so it's very tough to fungal and chain down. The CC is done by the gold base. He's just long distance mining for now. Fungal going down there, not the most incredible fungal in the world. In fact, bio, plenty of it still alive at the bottom here. He's run out of medevac energy, though. He's making 4 at a time. He feels like without the Broodlords, he doesn't need Viking production
anymore. Look at the supply manor, 30 supply lead here for Kelazhur. Snute's bank has been spent, and he's going to struggle to even remax there.
Yeah. And he's remaxing with roaches, which aren't a very cost-effective, armies, it's a supply-effective unit. So
I mean, not at this stage in the game. They're the best unit in the game, but not this late against 3-3 Marines, Marauders, and tanks.
Coming from a Protoss player. We have the 3rd hatchery still under siege here for these tanks. Roaches just not being able to find any space to get in here and take out Kelazhur's army.
And this is, like I said, in the meantime, Kelazhur, his economy is being left undisturbed. There is no counter-attacking capability here for Snute across the map.
Oh, this might be it. This could be the final engagement of this game. Snute coming down with a bunch of piles. They all miss. And Kelazhur stims on in. Does he have enough to seal the deal here? The Ravagers, a lot of them still alive for Snute. They're coming in for the back, a reinforcement for the back. And the bio is actually starting to get shredded. The Ravagers, though, it doesn't look like there's enough. Kelazhur has done it in game 2. Snute will need to tap out shortly if he doesn't manage to pull back here. Oh, the tanks get him reinforced. They're starting to go down. Fungal going down, but not enough from Snute in the end. GG. Kelazhur ties it up 1 apiece.
Brazil fights back.
That's right.
Up against Norway, and Terran opens the scoreboard here in this series 4. In race. Kelazhur, a great game here out of him. You know, like a very different situation than in previous game. Not quite as much static defense here from Snute. He struggled a lot more with these drops at times, even though overall at first the defense looked very convincing. Eventually, 1 mistake became 2, became 3, and then as soon as Kelazhur started sniping, like for example that gold base when he got the hatchery and then got out, the fact that there was not many infestors as well really helped, because as soon as he had been fungled once, twice, and a couple times and got rid of some of these infestors, Snute lost a lot of his power that he had with his army. These warlords getting caught though. That was, I think, the big mistake as well. Like, you want to keep these guys alive and covered by the rest of your army, not let the Terran army get under them and snipe him. And after he lost these guys, not quite able to remake them and replenish the superb that he once had with his army.
That's right. And we saw that Snute was visibly frustrated after that series. He's very annoyed, and we touched on it at the beginning of the series that Snute is an emotional player. He can let tilt get the better of him. Hopefully that's not the case for Snute here. So we're getting into 3rd map, which is Abyssal Reef. And right off the bat, that is a very nice map for Terran against Zerg.
Yeah, staying honest, I like it.
You know, like, I'm not going to lie. It's a great map for Terran against Zerg.
Well, I mean, I don't lie. I'm just a little bit biased when I say that there's no good map for Protoss, so...
Please.
All right. Abyssal Reef.
Yeah.
Our next map here, Snute. I'm pretty sure he's going to be trying to do the same thing, just better once again. Kelazhur, all the lack. Might want to try and again do some drops and eventually break through the defense of Snute, but it's going to be a harder map and a harder situation here, I think, than on the Honor Grounds where the bases were very far apart.
That's right. In the bottom right here, winning game 2. This is OSC Roots, Kelazhur.
Root for root.
Root for root. That's right. And in the top left, from Team Liquid, this is Snute.
Has to stay calm and really be able to figure out, without watching the replay, what were his mistakes here and there. And I think to us, it's quite clear, but again, we see everything.
Yeah, and like I touched on with Abyssal Reefs, to explain this one a bit further, this one has a lot of chokes and abusable terrain for Terran to use. There is, this choke here, the natural map is showing us some high ground that Terran can abuse with siege tanks, with bio, with drops play. So many spots that they can use to make things tough for Zergs and Protosses. Like one of the most beautiful spots are actually to the left of the natural. Like this little spot here is a beautiful spot for siege tanks in range of the mineral line.
Yeah. Snute, the last player from Team Liquid in these tournaments.
Yeah, feels bad, man.
You would love to do them proud.
And he often does. Like we said at the beginning of this series, one of the highest earning foreigners, or the highest earning foreigner so far in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, 300K, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
One of those guys that has my respect.
Yeah, I was going to say, even earning your respect, Todd, that means he must have made a lot of money playing this game.
It's very difficult.
And tell me about it. You got the reasonably standard expansion here for Snute, same for Kelazhur back at home. He's opening with a Marine, though, because he wants to go Overlord hunting.
To be fair about last game, Kelazhur was really committed to eventually doing damage. I think if he hadn't done the damage that he got, where he sniped the gold base and he started getting key units here and there with the infestors at first, and then that big push got the warlords, he would have been in a lot of trouble without all that happening, because it took a very long time to eventually add additional starports. And he doesn't seem to want to go into a second factory ever. Some Terrans, they will get a ton of tanks and then try to take the fight on the ground. Even against infestors, they will try to get the good splits enough that the tanks will clean up the infestors faster than the infestors will clean up the bio. Not Kelazhur. So far, we haven't seen a second factory being used out of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the kind of Terran that prioritizes bio production over anything else. Yeah, even as effective as those tanks are, they do get a little bit sticky when the Ravager count gets up. We do have the 1-1-1 gearing up here for Kelazhur, and he's going to get that Hellion production to go down. Getting that early game, that Overlord snipe, pretty nice for those two Marines.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes at the cost of scouting information because you don't have the Reaper across the map seeing what the Zerg is up to. But, you know, Kelazhur feels pretty happy with the situation to just get that Overlord, deny some of the vision, and supply block Snute a little bit, force him to put some minerals into more Overlords.
I want to ask you about something. With Snute's style, where he loves to expand and kind of, you know, sit there and defend, doesn't that map favor him very heavily? Because the 3rd, 4th, and 5th base are very close together?
It does, but it's tough to engage a Terran army if they get in the right position still. With a small amount of terrain. Like Zerg wants space, they want to be able to get a good concave, big surrounds, that sort of thing. Tough to do on this map.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I guess.
So you have a single Ling here, actually. A lovely Ling from Snute getting in the main and having a look and seeing exactly what he's up against. It's a brilliant scout there for Snute.
Yeah, starting the cloak on top of that Zergling that was there, trying to sell a story there. Or maybe, does he not cancel?
I'm sure he...
I thought he wanted to fake the cloak Banshee to force spores and then cancel the cloak. But he might be going for Banshees after the Raven.
I've seen it before, but I think just straight up Raven a little bit better. But we'll see from Kelazhur. He's a better player than me, so won't judge him for it. And he is going to go for Banshee after this.
Yeah, the Link was actually outside, just right outside of the range, I guess. After he started that, so maybe he realized that the Link was going to die before he was going to come back there. Cloak was not going to be spotted, and then you show one Raven, and Zerg is probably like, all right, there's going to be more Ravens. I don't need spores, right? Well, you do need spores, because then that Cloak Banshee is going to kill all your drones, brother.
Looks like Snute didn't buy it, even though he would have seen, or maybe the last Link didn't actually see that Tech Lab spinning there. He isn't expecting Banshees at all by the looks of things. Single auto turret coming down here, getting one drone kill, touching up that hatchery a little bit, denying some mining time as well. Even though these aren't drone kills, it is damage getting done when those drones have to pull off the line. Oh, Hellion's coming up here. They're getting a little deep though, and the Link's getting a good surround on a couple of them. They do still live to tell the tale though.
Oh man, I'm really worried here for Snute. For when that Banshee eventually gets there. The second one, oh, he was supply blocked here for a little bit, but Kelazhur's first Banshee is out and headed across the map. No sign of a spore starting here. And Snute, keep in mind, he's not on lair tech here. He's on a hatchery tech. There's not going to be any overseer. So if he starts a spore the moment that Banshee cloaks inside of his mineral line, there's going to be a ton of drones dying left and right, man. And this could be really bad here for the Norwegian Zerg.
And that's right, Spore's coming down, but the Banshees has Cloak, and Kelazhur pulling a fast one here, and Snute is going to get tons of damage down. Look at that, 8 drone kills already. Huge amount of damage here by Kelazhur in the early stages of the game, and Snute, yeah, he will get the spores up, and he will continue to play, but he's still taking damage. He still can't deal with his Banshee.
Yeah, this was so worth here for Kelazhur. In the meantime, across the map, he's getting his 3rd command center.
Wow.
He's sitting pretty. 13 drones have died there.
That's almost critical damage here. Snute, he's got a worker supply advantage, but look how much lava he's been spending on drones. Every time I look at that production tab, I see 8, 9 drones being made by Snute. So all that lava getting taken out here by Kelazhur. The Banshee's still alive, still being terrorizing in the sky. Oh man, coming into the natural again, a second Banshee here. And this one getting a little fresh.
Very solid macro behind this here from Kelazhur as well, you know, getting his 1-1 going, adding exactly enough barracks. He's going for a tech lab factory here, so probably gonna want to go for tanks. You know, you talked about that position that on this map is very tempting to go to.
Yeah.
Go for a big push.
And Snute is the kind of player that loves Roach Ravagers, so tanks even more effective against a composition like that. Auto turret getting more drone kills here. Again, Snute does have the worker supply advantage, but the 3rd is taken for Kelazhur. Mules are coming down now. His income is looking pretty good at this stage of the game. And on 3 bases, you're going to be feeling very comfortable at this stage as a Terran, getting that much drone damage done across the map.
Yeah, when Terran is at supply-wise against Zerg, usually you're doing something right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing good, and a lot of that is in army supply, which is getting upgrades. 1-1 nearly done here for Kelazhur's bio. +1 attack and carapace already done for these roaches, which are on the way for Snute. And he's getting that infestation pit nice and early again.
Interestingly,
this one more time.
We don't see any tanks starting up until now.
Yeah, I mean,
it took a really long time to finally start some.
Armory on the way as well, so we got to get 2-2 immediately. But this time he is down on the upgrades for the Zerg. He's heading up here. Nice creep spread from Snute. These Banshees still alive. Actually going to add a lot of DPS to this army as they start to press the issue here at this 3rd base.
Yeah, Snute is in panic mode. He's gonna pull all the queens that he can here to bring to that position and help with this. Spore gets sniped before any kind of transfuse. He's gonna go down, so these Banshees, they're gonna keep their onslaught here on the Zerg army.
This attack from Kelazhur is so sick. Corrosive Pile's coming down. One of the Banshees does go down. He has a detection now, so the Banshees will get taken out. But Kelazhur did a lot of damage to the Zerg army there, and he's pulling back. And a lot of Snute's, I mean, Snute just had to make a ton of army just now, delaying his drone production a little bit, which means Kelazhur now managing to get his worker supply very close to the Zerg.
Oh, cheeky overseer snipe here before getting out. Snute cleaning up nicely. He lost 4 drones there, sure, but you can replace those very easily. And now we're reaching the point where he's going to be very comfortable, thanks to the infestors that I'm sure he's going to be getting very soon, because he actually started pathogen glands here. We hadn't seen this upgrade starting before infestors in a long time, since Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah,
isn't it?
That's normally for the later infestors when he wants to get those numbers up later. But yeah, back in the day when you got whenever you went infestors, pathogen glands, you got it immediately.
Yeah.
In fact, these 2 infestors are going to hatch without pathogen glands, by the looks of things. Behind
this, I have to say, Kelazhur, for playing up against a Zerg that he knows expands as quickly as he can and turtles a whole bunch, he hasn't been taking very quick 4th bases himself. He's really been taking his time with that, focusing more on the aggression and trying to do some economic damage across the map in the first place. That's right, Kelazhur getting a lot more production here. He's got that extra barracks production. He is once again sitting on a pretty good mineral bank, trying to get that spent. Can we look at the main base of Kelazhur actually? Like, how did this guy even find enough room on this map to make this many buildings? Yeah, the main is pretty cozy here on Abyssal Reef. He's actually oversaturated the main as well with the SCVs, but we have nice little scuffles here in the middle of the map. Kelazhur reinforcing with these dropships, and the tank getting around the edge here to reinforce the main army of Kelazhur while he takes that 4th base here on the high ground. Taking that low ground 4th base is a little bit awkward because the Zerg can attack it from a couple different spots. Infestors are out. A couple of them hatched with pathogen glands, a couple of them didn't, so there are some Fogels here for Snute. Siege tank's coming up, but they're going to get sieged a little bit too late here, and Snute actually takes a pretty wonderful engagement. Yeah, I'm not sure why Kelazhur extended there. Another fungal is going to land and actually get some of these medivacs there. Very good cleanup here for Snute. The only consolation here, I think, for Kelazhur is that he did force a couple of fungals that are not going to be there in the next fight, but that was a little bit overeager here with just 2 tanks that siege mid-fights. Not the best way to engage. Snute once again doing the exact same thing he's been doing this whole series, getting up into Hive, getting that Spire on the way. No doubt going to be Greater Spire and Broodlords on the menu for him as this game gets into later stages. +3 attack ahead of the Zerg though for Kelazhur, obviously, because he has tier 3 already. The Hive not done for Snute yet. Dropping here into the back natural. Stimming to the Marines to see how many drones he can get done here. It's not target firing. There he goes. Snute is up to 5 infestors, which might not seem like a very high number, but any fungal can land on like 20 units, and it's going to be a disaster here for Kelazhur. 1 or 2 fungals could absolutely change the game into your favor as a Zerg player if you get the money fungals and those big corrosive bile chains going down. He's trying to spot what tech he's up against, whether it's Ultras or Greater Spire, and being able to realize here, he's going to allow him to drop additional starports momentarily and then go into Vikings later on to deal with Broodlords, unless he wants to try to go for a big attack before that, which is also possible. Oh, that's a massive fungal here from Snute, but Corrosive Pile's not getting down, but it is going to use, actually enough bungles being chained there to actually kill a ton of Marines. Nice move from Snute, eating into the army supply of Kelazhur. He does still have enough army supply, I feel, to press the issue, and Kelazhur agrees with me here. He's going to go around the top right here and reposition his army and go for the attack. A nice drop here from Kelazhur, getting some drones, taking out a few overlords on the top. Not the hugest deal, but taking out that Roach Warrior might be pretty good. He has 5 tanks here to try and make this attack work. Might be able to get this base here. I think Snute might just sack that because attacking into it will be very hard. Yeah, this is the vulnerability of the low ground base here. It is very easy to attack into. Kelazhur's tank in a lovely spot here. And the Bio taking the high ground as well, getting that high ground vision. He knows where Snute's army is. It's coming down the side here. He doesn't know about those infestors, though. He knows they're there, but he doesn't know where. The first Broodlords here being morphed. It's 3 of them so far in total. There's already going to be Quints with a lot of energy here for transfuses if he needs that. Kelazhur, I'm sure he would love to attack, but I think he knows that Fungal, if he goes up a ramp, is going to be right there. He is going up the ramp here on the side. Fungal's going down to the 4th base.
And these tanks are in position of that mineral line at that natural. And Kelazhur's going up there. He actually kills the 4th hatchery here. And the natural hatchery in a bit of trouble as well. But Kelazhur decides it's time to pull back. The Broodlords are done. Doesn't want to lose these siege tanks.
And he has a ton of medivacs to work with here in this case. If he needs to do a doom drop, eventually, he's going to be able to, if you realize that Snute, you know, say, for example, was to move out, even though that's unlikely, especially like from this position as Zerg. You want to sit back, re-expand, wait for Tian to throw units at you that you can fungal and kill. And in this case, Kelazhur is going to be starting to out-expand Snute momentarily.
Yeah, actually, I love this position of Kelazhur because he kills 2 hatcheries, and he's like, all right, I'm going to leave. Get my Viking count up. I have you know, equal bases as the Zerg. I have 4 bases mining. Why not? I'm in a great position here. It's still knocking the Zerg down with these hatcheries. Oh, the Corrosive Pile's going down here. The Corruptors, though, are a little bit more dangerous. The medevacs need to leave here.
And at the bottom, Snute
3 medevacs just went down in a chain. Corrosive Piles. That's actually a huge hit there for Snute.
Yeah, there's no medivacs here left with his army, and Kelazhur has actually been steaming quite a bit. Now he barely can escape here. Those tanks are already sieged there. Broodlords are going to come into the fight. Sure, there is a Viking, but that guy cannot do everything alone.
No, this is terrible for Kelazhur. Is it between a rock and a hard place? These Broodlords going to clean up every single siege tank. And now Snute suddenly on the shoe is on the other foot here, and this bio cannot be healed. It's very, very damaged. A drop here from Kelazhur going down into the natural again. Snute's Queens for the defense. He's reinforcing with the Queens left over. The medevacs are down, and he will be able to clean this up without taking too much damage at all. In fact, just losing 1 Queen by the looks of things.
This Queen has so much energy. He bought a lot of time with transfuses, and then Roaches came to reinforce and clean up. Now Snute's going to be back up to 5 bases. He can go into 10 gases momentarily. Maybe start even working on the 6th base at 12 o'clock, most likely. In the meantime, Kelazhur has got his own 5th base. We could be seeing him fly his main orbital command to a new base if he wanted to.
Yeah, he will need to soon. He's only mining from 1 gas geyser there. Planetary's done on the high and low ground here. Kelazhur getting those turrets up to help out against the defense versus Broodlords. But the Broodlords are getting pretty high in the count here. And these Roaches with some high ground vision actually... Or I think Ravagers can actually hit that mineral line, but not quite. They decided to barrel on through the supply depots, make a bit of an opening for the Zerg army. Kelazhur's ready to face him, though, with his army. Bats him back. Again, Stim's very costly for Kelazhur here. His medevac count not too impressive.
Viper's being added on now for Snute. Now, we all saw what happened game 1 when he gets to his ideal composition. It's just so hard to beat this guy. As soon as he's well set up on 5, 6 bases, he's got a bunch of Broodlords and Infestors and Vipers to work with.
These Spore Crawlers are actually in range of the drops. And Kelazhur has to boost here. One of the medevacs getting very, very low. He's going into the main, looking for that Greater Spire.
He's thirsty for it.
He's going to get it. Down it goes, getting rid of +2 Carapace for the flying units, and also no more Broodlords. He does lose 2 of his 3 medevacs.
No Queen nearby to transfuse. He's going to use that as a distraction here to try and close in the distance onto these Broodlords.
That's right. And where are these Infestors for Snute? He needs to fungal this bio and keep it away from his Broodlords. And also, where are the Vikings for Kelazhur? Spire being remade here for Snute, just finally clearing up what's left of this drop here from Kelazhur.
I think when Snute, by the way, earlier broke down the depot wall on the right-hand side, he might have picked up on the fact there's no turret there. So he's not getting, or he was getting tunneling class. He just completed. If he was to send a couple of Roaches there and burrow them in the middle line, that might be some SCVs dead. And I mean, sure, Terran's pretty rich and he's got a lot of bases, but if you start lowering his SCV count furthermore, they're not going to have the bank that they want to have in this kind of game where like the map is starting to be well on its way to being split eventually in a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
if you were to reach that.
In split maps, you're going to want a decent base count and a decent worker count. And this worker count for Snute is not very impressive right now. Not even 60 drones yet. He's realized that and he's making a bunch of it now. He's getting +2 melee here, looking like he's going to transition to ultras at some point or just get some lings to pepper in. But at the moment, Roach and Ravager is what he has to work with, and he's coming in to deny this drop here from Kelazhur, which will happen. But meanwhile, the main army of Kelazhur is setting up.
There's a fungal on the Vikings and a huge chunk of this bio.
Wow, big fungal there from Snute. Hurts a lot of that bio. They are still alive, though. Once again, the medevac count of Kelazhur not too great. A lot of that bio is quite hurt.
Where are the Vipers? Okay, they're on the natural, gaining some energy here from these extractors. As soon as he starts using these Vipers here.
Ooh, the Infestors getting caught by some of the bio here. 2 of them getting sniped. Whoa, nearly 3 Infestors going down to these Marauders. Nice little pickups there for Kelazhur.
And 8 more Infestors on the way here for Snute. He's in full turtle mode. He's gonna wanna trade energy for units that actually cost minerals here. From a Kelazhur who's mining out his bases super fast, thanks to mules, and who's gonna need to expand a lot more here in this game. Ghost Academy and on the way for the Terran player.
Yeah,
And
once again, just like the super late game on Proxima.
Still no add-ons on these starports, actually. These additional starports of Kelazhur is natural. He felt hurried to keep on making Vikings because he's always fighting. He needs to add these eventually.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He definitely needs reactors here to get medevac production and Viking production up because the Broodlords are still a threat. Greater Spire coming up again, so he can replenish the Broodlord numbers as well.
Pneumatized Carapace on the way for the Zerg player. These Overseers are going to be pretty fast.
Yeah, pretty fast, pretty furious. Marauders leading the charge here, stimming forward, getting these Spore Crawlers. Lots of Infestors here, not the most incredible Fungals, but there is still more left here for Snute. Parasitic Bombs going down the Vikings. Split here from Kelazhur is pretty good, though. Actually, clumping them up again. The Vikings are very hurt.
He was forced back. If you just split your units, it means you're not paying attention to the rest. Right now, some of his bio actually is getting rained on by some of these Broodlings. Broodlords putting it in overtime. And the Infestors count is reaching a crazy number here at this point. Still with the 8s, and he's been adding on more consistently, replacing them. 8 Infestors that are building up this much energy, that's a whole lot of Fungals.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if Snute could win a fight against all of the bio of the Terran with just the Infestors and the Broodlords. And guess what? He's got more units to work with. He's got these Vipers, he's got Ravagers and Corruptors as well.
He's starting to catch up on those upgrades.
Resources lost, actually. Snute massively in the lead.
Oh, bit of a concave here, a big scuffle with the Vikings actually touching up a lot of the air army of the Zerg. A nice bungle there, and a lot of Vikings going down. In fact, Parasitic Bomb hurting a lot of the Vikings on the top here, and Kelazhur not splitting his Vikings in time, but doesn't lose them. They just get pretty touched up.
Yeah, Kelazhur was trying to get a favorable fight by coming in from multiple sides and trying to catch some of this slow army here of Snute out of position. That did not happen. Oh, the Roach-Run actually died earlier in the main, so Snute now replacing that. I didn't think he would want to remake that many Roach or Ravagers, but he's down to 6 Roaches and 8 Ravagers, so why not?
Yeah, I guess so. More drones being built here for Snute. Again, his drone count not super great at this stage of the game, but he's getting up there. He's got the number of bases, maybe even looking at a new expansion as time goes on here. He's trying to creep up. Cloak on the way for the Ghosts, and +3 flyer attack as well for those Vikings. Could be seeing more Ghosts coming to play here very shortly. One of them coming out. They're coming out one at a time. Will we see nukes for Kelazhur, though?
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. I think a better way to use nukes than trying to do a big push, at least against a strong army like we saw in the game 1, is to just nuke one of the bases that's mining a lot to try and get the drones as well. But obviously, somebody as good as Snute will realize where it is most of the time. We do see ship weapons level 3 on the way, which is going to help a ton for these Vikings to try and clean up.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelazhur double expanding here on the very, very bottom and very, very top right. Stimming forward with a small round of units. I'm actually really impressed with how good Kelazhur looks in this game and in this series, actually.
Yeah.
It's been really going toe-to-toe with one of the greatest Zergs that have ever lived in StarCraft 2. So this has been pretty huge treat to watch, to be honest.
And he's starting to expand our control, fully realizing that for Snute to go across the map and attack with anything, even just a couple Roaches, wouldn't even be that good. Neural Parasite, not stars.
Wow.
For Snute.
Well, he's been getting melee upgrades to help out the Broodlings. And Neural Parasite here is going to be an interesting choice from Snute. I wonder, is he looking for siege tank ducks here, or is he looking for...
Well, I think he realizes there are no tanks anymore, but if he got, like, say, one of the Ghosts that then he MP'd his compadres, that would be the dream, right?
Oh, these medevacs are dead. Corruptor's catching those medevacs, taking out a lot of the army supply of Kelazhur there. Kelazhur still with plenty of army left over where that came from. He's down on the Zerg's army supply, but it is very heavily upgraded, very high tech.
Kelazhur is short on gas, actually. Like, he's not even... He hasn't made any Ghosts.
He hasn't been able to afford many Ghosts. He's not, he's not fully mining from every geyser here, so looks like a little bit of a blunder from Kelazhur to be able to... If he wants to give up the Ghost production and Viking production at the same time, he absolutely needs those gases. There's no question in my mind there. +3 Carapace nearly done for flying units. Kelazhur nearly with +3 attack for his ship weapons.
Another Fungal lands here, and this must be starting to be very stressful here for Kelazhur. Every time he goes forward, Fungal lands, Parasitic Bomb synergizes with it. And he has to pull back his Vikings, then the Broodlords are raining down Broodlings on his army. So even though he's doing a good job of expanding, like he's hitting a wall every single time he comes close to Crypt and this army, and Snute is not going to stop anytime soon. Crypt tumors are going to keep on going forward. He's even going to help his army with a bunch of spore crawlers here in these fights.
Yeah, he's hitting a wall, and that wall's also moving closer to him as time goes on.
He's closing in.
Yeah, the walls are closing in. There's Infestors getting the fungals down. That's a nicer one on the right there, managing to shave off a little bit of that bio.
I mean, the fungals, they don't even need to be that good. He's just got so many of them anyway.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's trading energy for damage here. That's exactly what you want to do when you have these super late game units.
If Kelazhur had a single ghost and got a dreamy MP on all of these infestors here, he might be able to do really well behind this. But right now, it's Snute that's running the show. Ghost in production tab. Drop at the top side of the map here. Actually, nothing's in position here for Snute, so he might be taking some economic damage. Maybe even lose that hatchery.
Yeah, losing this hatchery would really suck for Snute, and a lot of his army is still concerned with this major Terran force at the bottom side here.
Oh, the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings getting bungled here, and there the Corrosive Pile's taking them down. In come the Vipers, huge parasitic bombs here. The Vikings landing, but still taking a lot of damage there. Look how hurt they are.
Wow. Snute sent these infestors on a suicide mission, but I don't think he even cared. He was like, you know what, as long as I can trade these against the Vikings, then there's not going to be enough against the Broodlords. Most of the Vikings survived, and they're going to be repaired. Take them to the shop.
That's right. Get into the workshop, into the crash repairers, fix them up. He still needs these Vikings if he wants to have a chance against Zerg. Giant air army. More Broodlords being made, and he's replenishing the Roaches as well. Now getting +1 flyer attack to make the Corruptors a little bit stronger.
I'm really surprised not to see Kelazhur play with more ghosts. It seems like he really wants to play a Maru-esque style, you know, of just playing with a ton of bio, medivacs. He did make a lot of Vikings, but very reluctant to go into more ghosts here in this game. And this is the part where Snute is confident enough to go across the map and start to try and ignite the fight.
Caustic spray there from those Corruptors, and an orbital disappears from memory here. Another parasitic bomb, another fungal, and more Corrosive Piles going down on these Vikings. And that's going to shave off the air army here of Kelazhur, and these Broodlords are going to be pretty tough to engage. Broodlords pressing the issue here. The Bio pulling all the way back to the planetary. What can Kelazhur do? He's dug in like a tick, but it looks like Snute's trying to dig him out.
He has no Vikings.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
he's making 4 Vikings right now, but I don't think he can fight against this. You're supposed to counter-attack, but he's caught on his side of the map. He's backed into a corner here next to his planetary fortress, and he's fighting a fight that's just an impossible fight here for him right now.
Yeah, and he got a hatchery kill in the very north of the map, but that doesn't matter at this point. His army is absolutely going to get cleaned up by the reinforcements of Snute, and Snute is pressing the issue right in the face of Kelazhur here, skyrocketing in army supply at this stage of the game. He's being as patient as possible, pulling his army back and doing critical damage. Fungals going down on what's left of the Vikings of Kelazhur. He actually has no answer for these Broodlords right now. He's making 10 Marines at once, but these Broodlords and these Infestors, they don't care about 10 Marines at once, Todd. He's trying to break down the rocks, trying to break down anything he can to give him more space, but there is just too much Zerg. The 4th CC here, this planetary, I actually think it was the 5th, getting repaired as best as Kelazhur can. Is just sending in 2 Vikings at once is not the answer. Corruptors and the Broodlords moving in closer and closer. Kelazhur not with much army left at all. He's trying his best with what he has left. A beautiful late game from this Terran. Incredible play from Kelazhur, but Snute is just so strong, so patient, and so crisp that late game.
I mean, look at this whole scene. I feel like we're watching a cinematic right now. Like Terran is just trying to stay alive on their side of the map. They're being swarmed by the superior player here in this game, Snute, staying patient throughout. These infestors still covering these Broodlords up to the last second. And Kelazhur finally realizes he can't take on this army. He's gonna try to go for a counter-attack yet again at the north, but I just don't think he has enough anymore.
I mean, 3 medevacs of units can get damage done, but at this stage of the game, I don't know, man. He's lost all of this income here in the middle of the map. He does have bases on the very, very fringe giving him income, but look at his production right now. He's not making too much. His mineral bank and his gas bank completely gone here. Does not have enough production to beat this Zerg army. He's going to have to tap out any minute here. There's just way too much Zerg. Going for a run by with this bio, looking for some drone kills. He will get them, but this is a situation where he has to deal with a Zerg army at some point. And even if he lists these structures, there are so many Corruptors here to pick them off, and not enough Vikings to engage. Well, the army supply is telling the tale here. It's 176 versus 95. Kelazhur is battling as well as he can, but this one is over, Todd.
Yeah, it will take a hell of a base trade here for Kelazhur to win this somehow, and Snute would have to mess up big time, and I don't think he's looking to try and do that. He's just going to go forward, try and land the Fungals here maybe eventually on top of this army that's pretty exposed right now. Even Kelazhur has, I think he's run out of scans here for the most part. He's landing fuels on his bases.
That's right. I mean, he does still have bases mining here on the very fringes, but again, I have to bring up the fact that his production is abysmal here.
It's 8 Vikings against 10 Corruptors. Somehow he could lower the count.
Oh my god, that Fungal is disgusting. And down goes what's left of this defending force of Kelazhur. He still has his army on the other side of the map, looking for hatchery kills, but it does not matter. GG! Snute wins game number 3 in a long one. Oh man, Snute finding himself match point, but he had to claw and grasp that one away from Kelazhur. Kelazhur not making it easy for the Norwegian Zerg here, Todd.
Yeah, Snute at his highest point here, almost doubling the army value of Kelazhur, going for those very expensive units. Kelazhur chose to stick to a ton of bio, didn't prioritize the ghost counts because of that.
Yeah, lack of gas income. Like taking the gas is way too late, not having the right amount of gas income to get Vikings and Ghosts.
I really think that against this style, you can expand super comfortably because there's not going to be much that can counterattack you, right? Broodlords are very slow. At most, you will be a couple roaches, but then a Planetary Fortress usually does very well against this guy. So I think he definitely expanded a little bit slow in comparison to what he could have. Focused more on getting a ton of units out and trying to fight consistently.
All right, going to head to the desk with Kalaris and the boys to see what they have to say.
Thank you very much. It feels like we were here about 2 hours ago. This series just never ends. Some crazy stuff so far, an absolute bloody war between these two.
It is a bloody war, Kelazhur.
There you go.
It's interesting because I think Kelazhur is showing moments of brilliance and fighting really well, but I just don't know that there's not like horrific mistakes he's making in his engagement with this army. It's that the horrific mistake is engaging this army. And some of these maps, like this last one in particular, it's not like he has much choice because there's like a nexus of 5 bases, so he was harassing as best he could.
It's just the way that map works. It's too small. That army is untouchable. That many infestors that are you have to constantly be scanning to get them. Underneath a dozen Broodlords with Corruptors and the corrosive bile capabilities, like I don't even want to think about how many Vikings died in that game. They are so flimsy and so bad at taking those fights unless you're playing some sort of turtleneck into Ravens. Like your Marines are never going to get close enough with all those Fungals and all of those Broodlords. And your Vikings, they all just died instantly, like every single fight. With Parasitic Bomb, I didn't even mention the Vipers.
Well, it feels like you mentioned something there, which is the having to always scan is the real kicker, right? Because a while ago, it didn't used to have to be the fact that, you have to be scared of infestors being able to fungal from underground.
It's very difficult to target them down, but I think a lot of it comes back to so in that game, I would say the army and the way that Snute controlled it, I cannot think of a way that Kelazhur would engage it and beat it. I have to go back to in control. You need to kill him before he gets that, or veto that map, get a bigger map where you can run around that army. You cannot fight an army like that. A couple Parasitic Bombs will destroy your Viking fleet. The Fungals, the Biles, the Broodlords can deal with pretty much anything else that you throw at them. So that last game was a bit frustrating to watch, but it's been a great series, and both Kelazhur and Snute have played extremely well.
Well, to Nathanias' point here, it is that where Kelazhur has to find more strength in this series. Just try and outright kill Snute early on in these games.
He has to front load it. Yeah, I mean, every time we go to that late game, Snute is playing really, really well, by the way. It's not Broodlord and Fester from Wings Liberty where we can justifiably be angry at the Zerg. This is a very difficult army to control, and Snute plays to that. He plays to get it to the late game because he knows that on these maps and with his level of play, it's going to be indestructible. So
it's not easy to pull that off. I'm not trying to dismiss Snute at all. But on a map where it's that small, where you don't have space to be hitting from 8 different directions, you have to engage them because of the way that it's laid out. Like, Snute controls the army that well. There's not a lot you're going to do against it.
As much as, yes, Kelazhur has lost out in these 2 big, long games as it's gone down, it doesn't feel to me like he's playing badly. It actually feels like he's playing the best performance we've ever seen Kelazhur playing at.
His games look great. His micro looks good. He's constantly dropping. He's trying to hit everything. It wasn't like he was fighting this army and he didn't have anything behind it. He had a full-blown economy. Both players had, multiple thousands of resources in the bank, taking these big trades and fights. But that was the problem, is he wasn't able to somehow find a way to spread that very slow army out. And when you're fighting Broodlords that are supported by Infestors, Vipers, Ravagers, and Queens, you're going to die unless you've got a ton of Seeker missiles to drop all over that army.
Is that something that he can try and transition to, or does it make... Is Zerg in its current state making it very hard for Kelazhur to ever get there against someone like Snute?
Yeah, maybe, but there's definitely ways to front load. I mean, we've seen Terran... I mean, Kelazhur is very... Like, this is the trap, is he too is extremely good in those late games. That's why these games have been so nice.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't been enough. And I think in a best of 5, we've seen 2 games end the same way. I think you have to make a very quick on-the-fly move where it's like, okay, look, well played. All the other Zergs, I actually beat in that late game. You did come back against sort of in a similar situation, but against Snute, it's not working. You have to adjust, otherwise you're going to be out here.
Snute too good at the late game. I mean, I don't think that Kelazhur is going to pull some crazy, weird turtle strategy out. I expect to see in the rest of the series him just try to hit that mid game even harder than he has already.
Well, we've seen adaptation in this tournament so far, as we're just waiting for our next game to actually kick off. You know, Namsho got up against Showtime. You saw the adaptation in games 3 to 4, and I believe, at least, Kelazhur is of the same caliber to be able to try and make those adaptations happen. Do you agree?
Yeah, the toughest part is you get into a rhythm in a game like that where the majority of your army are your Marines, your Medivacs, your Marauders, you're constantly running around, your tanks and your mines, and you're very used to spending more minerals than gas, so it kind of usually turns you into this gas bank, but it's very hard to make a gas-heavy transition out of that because of the way that you're spending your economy.
All right, well, thank you very much, gents. We shall go now into our next game as we head over to Maynard and Todd between these two players.
All right, guys, potentially the last map coming up in this series with Snute sitting on match point against Kelazhur, who's been playing so incredibly well. Let's get into map number 4 here. In the top right, let's start there. In the top right here from OSC Root, we have got Kelazhur. And in the bottom left, from Team Liquid, the one on match point, this is Snute. So we were looking into the stats here, and it does seem like if Kelazhur manages to win the series, if he wins the next 2 maps, which is going to be a tall order, by the way, against this incredibly strong Zerg, if he wins the next 2 maps, OSC Root will actually be the most represented team in that round of 8, with Cham already being there.
With 2 players. But all alike, Team Liquid, also one of the most iconic teams in the history of StarCraft. 2 legendary teams. And it looks like we might have a little bit of a throwback build here by Kelazhur. He's going to open with multiple barracks.
Yeah, multiple racks going down with a pretty quick second gas here. And Snute actually went pull first as well, by the way, before getting his hatchery.
Yeah, wanting to play it pretty safe. This is a map actually where on cross-map position, if Snute wanted to play style, the bases are not very close together, and I think it would be easier for Kelazhur to attack from multiple sides. You know, Nathaniel was also talking about that.
Yeah.
When talking about the previous game, but yeah, double reactor actually going down here. It's going to be a ton of Reapers.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like he's going to have a ton of Reapers, and then they go 2 at a time coming out of this barracks here, and 2 more going to be coming out of that one.
So a new variant of an old-school build where you go for, usually you will go for triple barracks inside of your main base without add-ons. Make a ton of Reapers. In this case, it's not going to be triple Reaper production, but quadruple. The stakes have been raised.
Quad Reaper. Crazy. So this is the Kelazhur I know and love, man. The aggressive, the innovative, the creative Terran from Brazil. See these 2 links coming in here. They are going to see the first 2 Reapers pop out of these barracks as well. And Snute is going to have those alarm bells ringing. But with that early spawning pool, he's going to have speed nice and quickly as well.
And actually, Snute didn't spot the second barracks. So he sees 2 Reapers come out of 1 barracks. He's done enough of a tell for him to realize how many Reapers he's going to be facing here very soon. I'm not sure, because he still was droning up here up until now. Starts the 3rd base. You might want to get a bunch of links here before that.
Yeah, he is starting to make them now. Cactus Valley is a pretty big map, so he may still have time to get those units out. We'll come down to how Kelazhur controls and how many Reapers he opts to go for. He is expanding behind this, so this isn't an all-in, but it is a very aggressive opening. If it doesn't pay off well for him, he will be behind.
24 SCVs to 27 drones. I'm sure Kelazhur would love to get as many of these guys as he can. Big supply lock here actually for Snute for some time. He was stuck on 36 out of 36. Kelazhur, known for his Reaper play, is obviously going to be microing pretty flawlessly here so far.
Yeah, pretty nice control from Kelazhur so far, and nearly kills 2 Queens. 2 of the Reapers getting very low, but they do repair, they do heal themselves if they're out of combat for enough time. The damaged Reapers being microed back to the pack. These Queens very low in energy because they have been injecting, and 1 will go down. That's a nice pick up there for Kelazhur.
And he will randomly find that 3rd base by going down that direction.
Well,
Not prioritizing going there, though.
He's making still 4 Reapers at a time, losing 1 to the Lings here of Snute. And Snute's making 12 Lings. He's realized that this is a heavy Reaper aggression from Kelazhur. He's still reinforcing this. And Kelazhur's actually making a 3rd base along with the natural as well.
It's very hard to fully engage into this with KDA charge that was changed and nerfed, but still, when there's this many Reapers, it's a very dangerous thing that Terrans can use.
Yeah, they have surprisingly high DPS and massive numbers, and obviously speed and cliff jumping abilities make things tough for Zerglings. I mean, this cliff here between the natural and the 3rd, the Reapers can abuse, and they will. They've got, this time, Snute setting up a bit of a trap. The Lings on the bottom going to cut into this Reaper count. The Lings on the high ground, and the Queens also heading this Reaper count, and a lot of these Reapers are going to go down, and Snute cleans it up.
Very nicely done here by Snute, finally getting rid of these guys. Yes, trading those guys for Queens, though, that's going to prevent a couple of injects here from going down for some time. Like, I mean, sure, Snute is still getting a ton of drones out, but Kelazhur in the meantime didn't sleep. He got his 3rd command center up. He's going for another barracks. Would love to see a factory start momentarily here because he's going to want to go into medivacs as quickly as possible here eventually. And keep in mind, these are still 2 barracks with reactors, so no steam started, and he's going to start anytime soon.
Yeah, not going to have steam for quite a while. And regarding the medevacs, I mean, the Reapers do heal themselves, but you're quite right. He is switching over to Marines, and he does want to have medevacs eventually. This gives Snute a bit of time to breathe, to replenish that drone count, get those Queen numbers back up again. Getting those Reapers out of the question, like at the beginning of the game, very useful for him. So I'd say that Snute's not in a terrible spot at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say he's in a lovely spot.
Kelazhur behind this also going for the double eBay here for these upgrades. Snute not quite able to see anything actually behind the initial scout that he went for. Like, he has no idea that there is a 3rd command center. Probably can kind of suspect it. And this Reaper is still going forward and threatening there.
Yeah, and a couple Queens being made from 2 hatcheries at once here for Snute. No surprise there. KD8 grenades coming down for these Reapers. They have a cliff that they can jump back into. This is a lovely position actually for the Reapers to abuse. No high ground vision here for Snute. By the looks of things, he's starting to move his units over, but he's going to get that Overlord over to the 3rd base location. He will see that 3rd CC very shortly.
And it's yet again the same thing here from Snute. Double Evolution Chamber, Roach Warren is going to go into 1-1 with the missile upgrades, add on more Queens, and then going to lair a little bit later, going to Roach Ravager, followed by Infestors, and then it seems like Broodlords seems to be his choice.
Super late game.
Even though like Ultras can work as well, especially like if you surprise your opponent with it.
I mean, Ultras are still one of the scariest late game units in the whole game of every race. So
because I think Kelazhur also, like we saw on Abyssal Reef, he was scanning to try and make sure that he knew what he was, whether it was Ultras or Broodlords.
Yeah.
Because you have to play very differently against one another, right? Like against Broodlords, you're gonna want to go into more Vikings. Against Ultras, you're gonna stop making Marines and go into more Marauders.
And Liberators from your starport usually as well.
Yeah.
Help out quite a bit. And Ghosts, which Kelazhur has been loving to get in the late game as well. If the Ghost Snipe comes off, pretty good. Of course, we know that Snute loves his fungals, and that does interrupt the snipe ability, so not always the best option. Roach is coming out here for Snute. There's a quick Queen pick off in the middle of the map there. There's Stim Pack, 3/4 of the way done for Kelazhur. Another supply block, unfortunately, for Kelazhur, just about to finish up here. A 1-1 about to get done, so nice upgrades for the Terran, actually. He's actually ahead of the Zerg. Be able to get 2-2 immediately as well.
Yeah, quite a bit behind in supply, though. I mean, Snute is going Roaches, so there's always going to be that lead for him, but in this case, it's a pretty big one here. 43 supply lead here for a little bit.
It's like Kelazhur was getting ready for a 4th base there. SCV's being sent down. These Lings killing a couple of them, seeing too many Marines here at that 3rd base.
The crease spread is nice still by Snute, especially on the top left-hand side here. That base will be very well protected for a long time, like he would have vision at least. Not that many overloads are on the map, but I think he fully realized that he was playing against Reapers early on anyway, and the Medivacs were going to come in super late, which is exactly the case.
Well, they're here now. Snute needs to have an answer for them. Marines do have Stim. They have 1-1 as well, so they cannot be reckoned with. They actually don't have Combat Shield yet, but they are still quite high DPS units. The Roaches and the Ravagers coming down here with the Queens. Bile's going down, but not helping him out here. Queens in the main, though. Too many. That medevac getting quite low, but Kelazhur will escape.
These Marines don't need shields, they got guns, man. They're gonna get in there, kill a couple drones, and then get out.
Well, the best defense is good offense, Todd. Kill them dead. Then you don't have to worry about it. We have 3 Infestors on the way here for Snute. The scary, scary unit for Snute that he's been using and controlling so well in the series. 2-2 on the way for both players. That mid-game tech getting the even out here. Really, the slight difference here is that Kelazhur is making Widow Mines instead of Siege.
Oh, he's catching some units at the bottom here. Is Kelazhur.
Yeah.
Got some of the Ravager.
Yeah, the Ravager, the higher cost, high gas unit. Nice catches there from Kelazhur. Very quick hive here from Snute. And getting burrow for those Infestors.
Yeah,
So
very important.
it's just interesting to go for Widow Mines. I feel like tanks are a lot better against what Snute has, but Kelazhur seems to have a plan here, changing up his tech a little bit for game 4.
The problem of tanks is that there's no tanky vacs anymore. If you siege them forward, then you're committed to taking the fight. And against somebody as good as Snute, a lot of the time he's going to be able to clean up anyway. If you play tank, I think you have to play with double factory and then try to overpower with a pre-hive push, which I don't think Kelazhur is ready to do. That's not his style.
This push was quite nice, though. This hatchery is in a lot of trouble. If he target fires that, it may go down, and it will. Nice pick up there for Kelazhur. He's going to pick up and leave.
And he dodges the bite at the last second. This is a position from which he can snowball really hard here, I think, from there. If he keeps on expanding as quickly as he can here, takes that 4th and 5th base ASAP, keeps on being aggressive. Again, Cactus Valley cross map, like sure, it's harder for Terran to be aggressive, but against a Zerg that's playing super turtly like Snute, he is. It's just perfect. Those bases are very far apart. You can hit in multiple locations at once. Just keep on scanning, make sure that there's not enough defense wherever you're gonna hit, and out-expand the Zerg player hard.
Oh, these Queens are taking some mines to the face.
He's gonna get rid of them, actually.
Yeah, and these Marines and Marauders are actually going to pick off these Queens, and they can't lift up and leave. They'll have to. It's too many Zerg here. But a huge, scary force here from Kelazhur with Widow Mines on the defense. Fungal's going down very nicely here on the Widow Mines, but still lots of bio left over. Snute actually forced to reinforce with Lings here. He's changing up his tech, getting an Ultra Tavern and an Adrenal. Going to switch out of Roach Ravagers eventually here. Lovely Fungal from Snute, and he does push Kelazhur back.
Ooh, that was close. And Ultra Cavern, yeah, going down behind this with Adrenal Glands, so gonna play very differently here. Queens actually defending that base by themselves here against 2 Medivacs and some units.
Yeah, transfuse pretty good. Queen staying alive. Of course, the Queen's not going to be too useful as time goes on, except for spreading creep and injecting. They're not going to be super great against 3-3 bio. But, I mean, the Ultras are on the way, and their melee attacks aren't going to be incredible, but the Carapace, the Chitinous plating, they're going to be very tanky, and they're going to be tough for the Terran to deal with.
Kelazhur actually has got a ton of energy here on most of his command centers, especially in the main and natural, so it seems like he wants to be super aggressive no matter what. He's not prioritizing the macro while still being aggressive. It's all about that aggression here, attacking at the bottom at the same time here, and trying to break through.
Infestors are here to help out the Roaches and Ravagers. On their own, they may not be able to win this battle. Kelazhur doing all right at the very top here. Oh, just escaping a Fungal there from Snute. This hatchery's in a little bit of trouble. It's very, very low. Kelazhur does force a cancel.
Ultra production now starts. There's just a single one of these barracks. That's with Tech Labs, but guess what? Kelazhur made 3 more, and those are going to be with Tech Labs. So I think he fully realizes what's happening there, even though he didn't spot the Ultralis Cavern.
Well, he knows. I think maybe when he saw the Lings, he's like, okay, I think we have a melee tech switch here. And he's starting to prioritize Marauders, and now also getting Liberators out here. Not going to go for Ghosts Academy.
Still expanding here at the bottom this time. He's Kelazhur, who again cannot really be counter-attacked, right? Even though there are Lynx and Roaches, you have to be so defensive right now as Snute because he lost one of his important bases that it's very hard for him to even think about that.
Oh my god. Ultra's getting a lot of damage here from the Widow Mines. Bio actually touching them up as well. They're not as highly upgraded as they possibly could be. When the Ultras are fully upgraded, they're extremely scary. But right now, Kelazhur can take an engagement, although this bio is quite low.
By being so aggressive, I think Kelazhur is forcing these Infestors to work overtime, and like it almost feels like as if they don't even have enough energy most of the time, but right now they've gathered quite a bit.
That's a kill, not a cancel. Nice pick up there for Kelazhur. Liberators coming to join the fray, and they do help out quite a bit against Ultralisks. Nice position here. The Freedom Zone's covering that entire ramp area.
Yeah, the Ravagers are at the bottom, so they couldn't help here with this to clean it up. And still, Kelazhur pressing forward, making sure no 5th base is ever reached here for Snute, while securing his own 5th right now.
A big push here from Kelazhur at the top of these Liberators is going to do all right, but the majority of Snoot's army is actually out of position, and this hatchery is absolutely going down.
And then he could pick up and go into the main while keep on attacking at the north side with the rest of his army here. Kelazhur breaking through the defense of Snute, and he's gonna go for the main.
Doom drop into the main here. Here's where all the tech is. And Snute is absolutely going to have to respect this and deal with it, or he's going to take critical damage here from the Brazilian Terran. In he goes. The Ravagers are here, but they don't have a meat shield. The Ultra's getting stuck at the back a little bit here. They have to micro back. Kelazhur too much Zerg, though. He decides to leave.
Not even gonna kite or anything. He scans that one base that he had just sniped, sees that he's not even there. Kelazhur right now, he must be smiling. He must be thinking, I'm in a great position from there. I just have to make sure I get enough units. I keep up with this aggression that's just been working for me.
Yeah.
And I've got more expense, way more income right now.
And when you tech shift like this as a Zerg, your upgrades suffer. He doesn't have 3-3 max upgrades here. Kelazhur's got a lovely bank. He's got a lot of production. And he's getting Fusion Core ready for Liberation range. He just has so much upgraded units, and Snute is trying to get the max upgrades for his Ultras. Hasn't been able to get it just yet, although Fungal and Ultra combo can be pretty sick. What a Fungal here from Snute. He's getting so much of the bio, and the Ultras are coming up. They are getting shredded by the Marauders here. Snute cannot finish this off just yet without the Ravagers coming in to help.
Yeah, this seems like almost like the perfect fight. Actually, at the bottom, the Infestors got caught by a bunch of Marines and one Marauder. He got rid of all of them but one. This is huge here. Kelazhur, it seemed like this fight was going bad for him at first, but he just had too much anyway. And behind this, he's going to be the one with the production, thanks to his bank.
Getting Infestors is absolutely huge. The Ultra's not nearly as scary without them. And again, the upgrade's not quite done for those Ultras to be as scary as possible. 6 more Ultras on the way for Snute. Will they come out in time, though? He's lost 21 workers. He's been knocked down to an abysmal 44 drones in this late game. He's losing hatcheries left, right, and center as well. This top one getting targeted down by the Marauders.
Yeah, Snute's income is in shambles here, and with that base dying, it's going to go even lower here. 44 drones to 66 SCVs. Kelazhur's economy not even being close to threatened here at any time in this game. He still needs to work on his gas income, by the way.
Snute hasn't even been on the other side of the map yet. Kelazhur's made sure that all the fighting's been happening on Snute's side, so you're absolutely right. Kelazhur very safe back at home. The Liberator's being taken out by the Ravagers, which is nice. Kelazhur way outside of the creep, though, and Snute needs to pick a fight here. He feels like he needs to.
Yeah. One
of the Ultras getting very, very low. 2 of the Ultras about to die, and the Infestors don't have enough energy for, I think there's maybe 1 Fungal here.
Yeah, he could even go and sit back behind one of his planetaries if he wanted to, like Snute. For him to be in the middle of the map like this, it means that he's exposed to counter drops and counter attacks as well. He's got 1 single Fungal to work with, so it better be a good one. One of the Steph Curry 3 points.
I mean, Snute engaging in the middle of the map here, away from that creep, just leads me to believe that he is very desperate. He wants to get a big fight against the Terran, catch him unawares, but Kelazhur is all over this like a rash. He has everything he needs. His production is fantastic, and he's getting Liberator range as well, which is going to make things even more difficult for Snute to engage.
Advanced ballistics are very helpful. I mean, there is still 14 Ravagers, but for him to be able to land those perfect bile on top of these guys, still would be very difficult.
Needs Infestors, and Snute's trying to make what he can. He's got 3 on the way. He's making as many drones as he can as well. But again, I don't even know if he should be making drones at this point. He's never going to catch up this worker count of Kelazhur at this stage in the game. Kelazhur never stops.
Yeah, I mean, look at the income at this point. Kelazhur is just mining so much more. It feels like the Esports earnings have been reversed here in this game.
Kelazhur still has a way to go if he wants to match Snute's Esports earnings, but in this game, doing a very, very good job. Liberators leapfrogging here, and they're moving forward. This is a very, very tough engagement for the Zerg. He needs to go through 3 Liberators if he wants to meet the chewy center of this Terran ball here. He's going in with a bio on the left, sniping an Infestor, getting those Ravagers. Hugely important pickups here for Kelazhur. 3 of the Infestors still alive, though, with a few Fungals left, but not too much army supply left for Snute. That's a lovely Fungal, actually. The bile's coming down, but still, Kelazhur just with so many units. And again, this Liberator leapfrog. How do you engage this as a Zerg?
You can't. He has to pull back every single time. And even though these Medivacs are injured, there is enough bio on the ground, I think, for Kelazhur to secure this game here momentarily. He's still threatening at the top, sitting on the high ground here, shooting some of these drones. One of these Ultra is gonna be cleaning up.
Getting some high energy Medivacs, nice there, but there's more where that came from. Kelazhur, 1 single Ultra dealing with that harassment at the top there. Kelazhur pressing the issue. He's going to get a couple of these Ravagers. Ravagers very important to deal with the Liberators. These Ultras still taking a lot of damage here. They have +2 attack, +3 armor with chitinous plating, so they are quite tanky, but again, not doing tons of damage. Snute's desperately trying to get this Ultra count up, but Kelazhur is going right for the throat here, Todd.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's much left here for Snute.
He has no bank, he's running out of units, and he's running out of time, starting to step inside of those liberation zones and getting cleaned up here. In the meantime, Kelazhur keeps on expanding at the bottom right-hand side of the map. He's worked on his gas income here a little bit, taking a couple more refineries. And Liberator on the top left-hand side is going to siege that base, but on its own, like a big boy.
Well, he can afford to lose Liberators. And in fact, it looks like he won't even. But Kelazhur...
Actually, yeah, if he's set up on the high ground there.
Yeah, it's a lovely spot. No Ultras is going to clean that up. And of course, he has advanced ballistics, so he's going to be able to siege up from pretty far away. 4, 5 Liberators sieging up here, pushing Zerg army back. Snute's between a rock and a hard place. He has nowhere to go. He doesn't even know, like, do I go up and lose everything to Liberators? Do I go down and lose everything to Liberators? His natural's gone. The bio-stimming into the main. The bio-stimming into this fourth base. The Ultras in the middle of the map, way off creep with Infestors, trying to get anything they can done. But I just feel like there's just not too much steam left inside the tank of Snute here. GG! And Kelazhur, man, gonna take it to game 5. Well played by Kelazhur. What a great game from him. I completely agree with In Control and Nathaniel saying that he needs to get aggressive, try something new, and it absolutely paid off for him there on Cactus Valley.
Still fighting for Terran here. Would be our second Terran through to the top 8 if he was to make it. Major is already waiting there where he's going to face Cyril. What a series, man.
It's been pretty incredible. Very action-packed, long games as well. This is definitely been the longest series so far on stream.
Not two of the easiest names to say here between these two players.
That can't even fit Diego's entire name there. Oh, well. And Jens, his last name is Asgard, which is literally the home of the gods. What a cool name.
That's the same last name as Thor, right?
I think so. Well, it's where Thor
Oh, no,
lives,
he's Thor of Asgard, I guess.
Yeah, Thor of Asgard.
It's pretty sick. And he's Norwegian, too.
That's right.
All he needs is a hammer and a helmet.
I actually asked him to, you know, I think it was at Katowice, I said that Team Liquid, I think because Nazgul was there as well, I said to Nazgul, I was like, you should get some Team Liquid brand Viking helmet and drinking horn for Snute fans. I think that'd be pretty metal.
And he said that's a silly idea, right?
He looked at me weird, yeah. But I stand by it. I still think it's a great option here.
Make it happen yourself.
Yeah, make it happen. I'm sure Team Liquid guys cheering on their boy, watching from home. And we got a bio break here for Kelazhur by the looks of things. Snute's going to be pretty keen to get into game 5 here, visibly frustrated again after game. Every loss certainly hurts him. He's been shaking his head and pretty disappointed with his play in those games.
Like, actually, the score being 2-2 here summarizes really well the way I was feeling about this matchup. I think a lot of people probably looked at it and they were like, oh, Snute against Kelazhur, well, I mean, easy for Snute, right? No, not right. Snute, even though he's part of the 7,000 MMR club over on the European server, Kelazhur, like I said, top 20 Grandmaster on the South Korean ladder. And the fact that actually he went there and trained there for 3 months, that's huge. It's not like, you know, going there for 1 or 2 weeks and playing a couple games. No. That's 3 months of hardcore gaming, trying to get better in every single way that he can for this very tournament, for the WCS Circuit, of which he's a part of.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what he's been training for months and months. And it comes down to that one single last map here against Snute to see if he can advance to the top 8. This is a huge moment here for him.
Practice actually absolutely coming through and showing here for Diego as well, for Kelazhur. He's looked better than I've ever seen. I've been casting Kelazhur for a long time. Snute as well. Snute, I'm used to seeing Snute be incredibly dominant, incredibly good. So he is still the Snute that I expect. But Kelazhur has really leveled up here and just in time for WCS Season 1 finals here in Austin.
So we saw some maps where it's kind of easy, you know, to turtle up to many bases and kind of wait for the opponent to attack into you. And that kind of favored Snute. Other maps where it was harder, much like the previous one, or Honor Grounds. But in this case, the last map is actually going to be Belcher Vestige. So for Snute to be able to play the same style, you know, get his spores, take his bases, and kind of turtle up to that hive composition with the Brood Lords mostly, how well do you think he's going to be able to do up against Kelazhur here on this map if we see similar games to what we saw?
It's going to be pretty difficult. I mean, Belcher Vestige is one of those maps where I think it's, you know, pretty well balanced. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of opportunities for both races to get a lot of hurt on. There's open ground for Zerg. There's abusable terrain for Terran. It's very sunny in here, clearly, so people have their sunglasses on inside. Normally, I would say that's weird, but we have some bright lights here on stage, so they're forgiven this time. Those Void Rays have been working on that Leviathan for 2 days straight now.
Well, I mean, they need a buff, right?
They do need a buff, I feel. I mean, we can see
prismatic alignment, not even enough to take this down.
I think the latest... Wow, that is an interesting pair of sunglasses, Todd. How do you feel about that fashion?
I love it.
You love it?
As a French person, I'm supposed to have good fashion. I approve. I would wear that.
Wow. Guy in the crowd, you just got French approval for your fashion taste. That is pretty sick. I'm still trying to get there myself, but not quite there.
Love the fans here, man.
Yeah, loving the fans. The NA Passion Lords, as I like to call you all. Hope you're having a great time out there. Game 5 is loading, guys. So this is your last chance to make some noise for either one of these players. One of them is going to be excused from the tournament, and one of them is going to go on to the round of 8. And here we go. In the top left here, with an incredible series. Can he make Brazil great again? This is Kelazhur.
He already did for me.
Yeah, Kelazhur making Brazil come back in my brain. And at the bottom right, the Norwegian Zerg, the Viking god. This is Snute.
Best intros in the Beast, man. Well done, well done.
Yeah.
And a gas first build here from Kelazhur. Actually on Berkshire Vestige.
Usually
wall
means
up at the
pretty
ramp.
quick 1-1-1. It's usually the case.
Snute gonna be going for the hatchery first, not quite as afraid of some sort of proxied racks as he may have been in the previous game. Not playing the super safe pull first, even gonna follow up with an extractor here before the spawning pull. And on this map, you know, like, I mean, as much as taking 2-3 bases doesn't seem like the hardest of maps, as soon as you take that 4th and 5th, they are quite far apart. And, you know, there are areas where you can fly on the corner of the map, then drop into the main and all that. Snute's defense has been great. You know, yeah, in some of the games, I think in game 1 in particular, he made a crazy amount of spores, which helps so much because, again, if you are playing a Roach Ravager, what you're going to be lacking is anti-air in the form of the Mutalisks that are the other alternative, right, with the Muta-Link Bane. But in this case, Snute is just so good with his Queens and with getting a ton of spores that it almost felt like as if those Medivac drops weren't even a threat to him. He's mastered that style completely and looked very convincing in the 2 games that he won, but Kelazhur somehow brought it back.
Yeah, just solid play, great decision-making from Kelazhur, knowing when to strike and with how much has been really good for him. It's always impressive to me as a Terran player to see someone be able to have that knowledge and know when to attack and where. And it's just something I wish I had the ability to do. It'd make my ladder a lot easier. We have this Reaper Scout here from Kelazhur as he expands to have a look and see what's going on in Snutesville. And everything looks pretty hunky-dory and pretty standard here in the Zerg side of the map. Link's coming out at the appropriate time to deal with the Reaper. Can't see too much damage getting done by it. Does use the cliff to escape. Spore's going down, or Spore using, getting morphed into a Spore to save that drone. Words are really tough sometimes. We have the switch over here for the Hellions of Kelazhur. Now, a couple of games it's worked, and a couple of games it hasn't worked out here for Kelazhur. We'll see which one this will be. Well, third not in sight just yet for Snute. Joining up as much as you can, making queens 2 at a time at both hatcheries, the Snute style we know and love. Starport, the 1-on-1 is complete here for Kelazhur. And the Hellions looking like they're going to start getting amassed here in the main or towards the natural and get ready for that follow-up as well.
Yeah, that one Overlord had a pretty chill time, by the way, like flying across the entire base before trying to find refuge here in the corner of the map.
I like Kelazhur getting the single Viking here, going to go Overlord hunting.
The Bolt Viking, man.
The Bolt Viking, that's right.
The legends.
Maybe you live on forever. We have the Hellions coming in from Kelazhur. There is, of course, a good queen count here for Snute because it is Snute we're casting after all. So the Hellions are going to have a little bit of a rough time to get into that juicy drone line and get that barbecue happening.
Definitely an easier map to quick spread on as well.
Yeah.
I think with the way the bases are set up and, you know, getting a ton of queens early on, it's going to be much easier for Snute than, say, for example, on Cactus Valley. Boom. First Overlord down. He's going to be hunting for that second one, most likely looking around the natural. That's exactly where it is. And Snute's trying to evacuate.
Yeah, leave.
Don't find me, please.
The Viking's not faster than most units,
Look
but
at
it
that
is
guy.
faster than
Gets the
Overlord.
Ling in.
Yeah, single Ling coming in, going to delay that third CC a little bit. Landed Viking, going to kill that Ling, though.
What is this? Heart of the Swamp cinematic? Every time I see a Viking landed,
Well,
that's what I think of.
The Viking landed taking out a Ling is a little bit more sensible than landing to take out an Ultralisk, mate.
Yeah, that was
just
actually
slightly more sensible. So we have actually a huge Ling run by here from Snute. He's going around the edge of the map here, looking for an opening into that natural, try and catch Kelazhur unawares. He does have a full wall off though.
Yeah, usually when a Zerg starts doing these run-bys, they're not going to stop, especially if it's working. So he got in last time. Kelazhur is like, not again, not on my watch. Goes for the wall-off.
And there's 2 SCVs enough to be able to repair the DPS of these Lings. And it looks like it's going to delay it enough that the Hellions going to get back at least and sort them out. So these Hellions haven't gotten too much infrastructure damage done. We see that the worker count of Snute is very healthy here, already nearly at 60 drones. And not too much damage done across the board, but a little bit in favor here of Kelazhur as he has taken out a good chunk of Lings.
That one Viking worth its weight in gold, by the way.
Yeah,
2 Overlords and 1 Ling. Not bad for a day's work.
He's paid for himself already. Carapace on the way here for Snute. Does he have single Evo or double?
Double.
Okay. He's got the Roach Warren coming down as well.
Maybe
Snute,
4 gods. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just normally it's double Evo chamber with the Roach Warren. There it is.
Maybe he didn't have the gas yet. Snute very minerals heavy right now. He delayed actually he was only on 1 gas up until now. He's now taking 5 more at once. So he's going to want to fix that, I guess.
Yeah, not mining from the gas in the natural, just fixing it up now. Maybe it's and also not mining from the gas in the main, so no wonder those upgrades were delayed there.
From 1 to 6, man.
Rip. So the upgrades are coming down. Roach Warren just about to finish. Armory on the way here for Kelazhur, and his upgrades a lot quicker than the Zerg, which is generally not the case in this matchup. Stim nearly done here for Kelazhur as well, so that's going to get a little bit dangerous when it starts to get to the drop play stage of the game. Kelazhur's actually doing a really good job at killing creep tumors. Considering the queen count, he's been doing a really good job to delay creep tumors here.
Armory already on the way.
Yeah.
Upgrade-wise, doing fantastic here. Lining that up perfectly with when the 1-1 will finish.
And Snute's lair is a way away as well, so the 2-2 for the Zerg is going to be way behind the Terran.
And usually Zerg stays on 2-2 for longer than Terran will. Being able to start at 3-3 very important for winning these games. And with the way Kelazhur has been playing as well, super important to go for that 3-3 pretty early in a game like this.
Unloading the Hellions, healing them up, turning them into Hellbats so they can be healed by medevacs. And he is going to go for an attack. A couple of the Hellions aren't turned into Hellbats, but they are still pretty strong. There they go, Hellbins coming into Hellbats, and they're going to come up here and engage the Roach and Ravager Concave. This looks like a little bit too much here from Snute for Kelazhur to deal with, though.
Thanks to the Queens, actually. Without these Queens, he wouldn't have been nearly as scary. Maybe denying that creep spread and killing some Crypt Tumors could be good here for Kelazhur, but for now, he's just going to take his time already working on the wall off here on the 3rd base and adding on additional barracks. I have to say, Kelazhur seems to not make his additional barracks very often, you know, around his natural 3rd base, at least for the 4th and 5th. Maybe later on he has more.
That's a hatch cancel right there. Nice move from Kelazhur in the 4th.
And Infestation Pit being dropped pretty early here once again from Snute. Again, he forgot about the missile upgrades. It's just started Carapace. Yeah,
he doesn't have the gas, but it looks things. I need 225 for that Carapace, just going down now.
Yeah, starting an Infestor here, prioritizing that. Sometimes you think you have just enough, but you don't. You press the hotkey and that upgrade doesn't start, and then you don't realize until later. So I expect Snute to maybe double check. You know, actually Drogo said something really funny to me recently. He said, I end every single PVT by pressing continue to play or watch game, and I check if I made thermal lens or not. You never know, man. Yeah, you'd be surprised the amount of games that you check and you're like, oh god, I forgot about it.
Oh man, Medevac's getting caught by the Queens here. One of them going very low. Is there anything in the main to finish it off? Couple Roaches, not too much here from the Zerg, and he does fully unload for these 2 Medevacs. That's pretty annoying here for Snute, and of course this is Kelazhur we're talking about, so it's not just one drop. We have actually a big attack heading toward the 4th hatchery. Snute in position though with plenty of units.
Yeah, the mines were at the front, so they got sniped actually before being able to burrow. I think there's enough Roach and Ravager here for Snute to chase this away. Solid defense here from Snute, I have to say, like, he traded very well. It's almost encouraging for him to just keep on massing Roaches, max out, and then do an attack with just pure Roach Ravager, which really would surprise Kelazhur, that has thrown a lot of units away.
Yeah, he certainly has. A lot of hurt units here, not much medevac energy. Oh, bit of a move command there from Snute, but he comes in and fetches that up. And he is starting to engage these, the Marines, Marauders, and Hellbats, takes them out in the middle of the map there. And Kelazhur's 2-2 is about to finish, so he's going to have a stronger army for a little while here. Oh my god. I know how that feels, Kelazhur. Combat shield at the 9-minute mark. All right. Ravage is going to take out these Widow Mines.
Is Snute gonna attack? He starts to Spire, but he never started Hive.
He has Infestation Pit. Can certainly start at any time.
Did he forget about Hive? Like, I'm really confused by this game. I feel like both players, they're starting to make mistakes that maybe we didn't see make before.
Yeah,
and especially gas-wise, they are both kind of gas-starved. They don't have as much as they would like, so it's very hard to tell whether it's mistakes or that stuff is intentional. I thought that Snute might attack there because he just has so much in comparison. He cleaned up very easily.
Snute wants to catch these Medivacs, and I think he will. A nice fungal there, getting two of them. The Ravager's out of position, though, and the second fungal going to make sure that these Medivacs go down.
Wow.
Huge pick off there for Kelazhur.
But on the left-hand side...
Yeah, big run by with this bio, and this hatchery is in trouble. Snute's army in the middle of the map here. Not too much left for Snute, and that hatchery is going to go down. Blow for blow here, both players taking big damage.
And Kelazhur not even close to being maxed out there. If Snute was to attack, this could be a very dangerous attack. The problem is that there is always a threat of a counter-attack from the Terran player, so it's very hard to actually say, all right, I'm just gonna go for it, go across the map. You don't want to base trade a Terran, right? If you send everything across the map and then he starts eliminating you, you're gonna be in a ton of trouble. And Kelazhur...
Oh, another great fungal, and these Medivacs could go down as well. Oh, missing one of them.
Yeah, these are very important, actually. Like, the more Medivacs you lose like this, the worse he's gonna get, because right now he's down to 4 Medivacs, so not much dropping capability. Snute fully identifies that, and I think he's gonna want to look to try and attack
He
these
should absolutely
bases.
attack Todd, I agree with you. He's up 40 supply in the army. He's got equal upgrades for now until 3-3 is done with the Terran. He can trade pretty well here. Roaches and Ravagers, not the most fantastic, cost-effective army, but
Snute
they are
has a
doing
ton
well.
of Queens ready in the main. He hopes that there's gonna be a drop there.
Oh, yeah. This drop is actually looking for that 4th hatchery.
Oh,
and
don't go
now
for
he's
the
going
main.
into the main, but the Queens are ready.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Oh, huge pickups there for Snute. The Medivacs have all gone down, and the 4th hatchery again looking for Kelazhur. We've seen this song and dance before. He's going for the hatch cancel. 4th hatchery being taken on the right for Snute instead, so this time not being delayed too terribly, but it is still annoying. Kelazhur's 4th CC is done, loaded up with the SCVs. He hasn't made an orbital just yet. He is going to drop it now.
And the Hive is now finally on the way. Snute's going to be able to secure that right-hand side base. He's got a ton of Queens that he's going to send there, actually ready to catch any Medivacs flying through. Kelazhur actually... Whoa!
Oh, lovely fungal from Snute, taking out a good chunk of the pile there. Kelazhur retreating to the high ground. The army supply still hugely in favor of the Zerg. He's getting Burrow for the Infestors, doesn't quite have it yet. And Pathogen Glands on the way as well as Overlord Speed for those Overseers.
It must have been so tempting for Snute to attack, but he did even better than that. He baited Kelazhur to attack into him by faking that he was going to attack, preventing that 4th base from going down, and then pulling back at the last second, defending against everything that Kelazhur were throwing at him. I mean, sure, he lost that left-hand side base, but if you look at the bank and how well Snute is doing here in supply, he's maxed out. I definitely think he didn't necessarily get the worst end of things, and his split at this point is really nice. He's got Queens on the left-hand side with a ton of energy. He's getting Spores to help against those Medivacs.
Yeah, Fuggle's going down here on the Terran army, and there's way too much supply of Queens here to defend for Kelazhur to crack into that 3rd base.
3-3 on the way now. Greater Spire as well. It looks like Snute will be able to stabilize quite easily here now on 4 bases with all the static defense that he's got and the positioning of his army. And Kelazhur, he's been losing a lot of units with every single attack.
Yeah, hasn't been taking great trades yet. We see the resources lost very much in favor of Snute here.
He's sitting on 3-3 though, against an army that's, as time passes by, will become worse and worse. He's been baiting a lot of these infestor fungals, right?
Well,
so there isn't that many of them available.
Phase 2 of Snute's plan is underway. Greater Spire is nearly done here, and the Corruptors are starting to go up as well. So with Broodlords...
Oh, this attack is dangerous at the bottom here.
Oh, yeah.
3-3 bio.
The Queens can't engage this by themselves, and the Ravagers are coming down to connect with these Medivacs. Oh, just gets the hot pick up.
Oh, the fungal on the right-hand side, if he can land it. Okay, gets a small one. Oh, that looks super scary here for a second because there was so much bio from Kelazhur clumped up, but he got back just on time. And he's actually going to fly his main orbital here to a new base just below that, knowing that he's going to need more income to make sure he keeps on maxing out consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. Still supply advantage in army for Zerg, and the upgrades are about to even out here.
Only 1 starports for Kelazhur. He's been playing so aggressive. He's been losing a lot of units the entire game.
Oh, these Medivacs! If Snute catches this, oh, thankfully for Kelazhur, they actually get past the Infestor wall here, and they're going to go into the main, which is now quite naked. Queen's now coming in to deal with it. Corruptor coming out to help out as well. Single Broodlord here. A little bit dangerous. Doesn't want to lose that Broodlord to Marines.
Actually, he's going to trade here as well with this. Like, this might get cleaned up eventually, but he's going to trade. And at the same time, on the left-hand side, gets a cancel on that base. He's going to run inside of that 3rd base here off Snute that's completely undefended other than for the couple of Ravagers that he's got there.
What's happened to Snoot's army? Snoot's army's completely out of position, Todd. A bunch of Roaches actually weren't in position there, and the main is under siege. Kelazhur somehow finding himself in a wonderful position with both of his armies on both sides of the map. The Hive is going to go down. Huge pickup for Kelazhur.
And he's attacking on that right-hand side base at the same time. There's just a couple spores there. He's going to go straight for the drones. Snute can't be everywhere. He's trying to split as best as he can right now.
Oh my God, Snute is in so much trouble. The drones are going down. His working supply is down to 32. He's lost his tech. Kelazhur is coming in again with a big supply of upgraded bio. That hatchery is going to go down.
I can't believe what I'm watching. Kelazhur might be making this work somehow. Snute down to 161 supply there. And he has no bank behind this. He's barely mining that hatchery. That was being remade into a lair. He's gonna die.
His income is atrocious right now. And this hatchery is gonna get killed. That is huge here for Kelazhur. He's in an amazing position. I don't know how he can even lose from this point. Dropping down into the natural, even more critical tech here for the Zerg. He will be able to clean this up, but he has already taken incredible damage from Kelazhur's multiple pronged attack. Oh my God, Snute is in such a rough spot here. How does he come back? He needs an incredible engagement. The Infestors are still alive. He still has some Broodlords. He still has Roaches and Ravagers. Didn't get +3 attack, but +3 armor, thankfully, at least finished for him.
Army supply is about even, but a lot more mobility for the Terran army, and I'm pretty sure that Kelazhur wants to keep up with the multi-pronged attacks. At the same time, again, his economy being left untouched. When you play this style of Snute, it's very hard to counter-attack with anything, maybe a couple burrowed Roaches here and there, but he hasn't even tried to go for anything like that. He didn't make tunneling class actually in this game, even though he's got burrow.
Another huge drop. It's actually not too much to pick. He's like, I'm going to drop into the main to get your extractor and evolution chamber.
I think he's going to move into the natural. After that, he knows that the Greater Spire here will be the grand prize, because that would be so hard for Snute to reach that again. Snute, he's down to one single last hatchery on his natural there, and his income is in shambles. We could have a Brazilian player moving on to the round of 8 here.
I think we will, Todd. Looks like 2 Terrans going to make it in the round of 8. Oh, the Broodlord's getting sniped as well. Salt in the wounds for Snute. He's going from bad to worse for him. The Infestors looking for Fungals from the low ground, and they do get some nice Fungals, but he's going to need more than that if he wants to win this game.
The multi-pronged attacks of Kelazhur here, a little bit too much for Snute. He was running around like a headless chicken here for a little bit, not quite able to land the Fungals, and even if he lands them, there's just too much Terran all over the place.
Yeah, Fungal here going to get a lot of the bio, but there's still more where that came from here on the creep. Not too many Fungals. Actually, there's a lot of Fungals here. The Infestors coming in to reinforce. But the income for Snute is almost non-existent at this point. It looks like the 2-minute mark of the game.
He's going to go for it. One last ditch attempt, one last big fight if he lands the perfect Fungal and tries to snowball from there. Maybe a miracle win here for Snute. Let's see if Kelazhur commits to the fight. The smart move here will be to pick up, boost everything across the map, and go for the base trade, I think, because there is only a couple buildings left for Snute, but he's also afraid that one single lone Infestor lands that Dream Fungal on his Medivacs, in which case it would be a disaster.
If Snute picks up things, there are still Corruptors if this goes to base trade, so he can actually kill flying structures.
Well, there's 3 Corruptors, but yeah, I guess there's a few.
Oh.
And behind this, Kelazhur, he's remade another army on the left-hand side here, right outside of his wall off. He's going to move towards this army, try and get a sandwich, I think, to get one last cleanup, which will propel him into the quarterfinals there, in the top 8.
Yeah, Kelazhur, he's on the precipice of getting one of the best performances, possibly even the best performance in his entire pro gamer career here. The Medivac going to go down the Spore Crawler. Damage done from both players licking their wounds here, but Kelazhur still looking stronger in the end of it all. This is Sporting Pool taken out here for Kelazhur.
He cannot even replace that. This is an irreplaceable building here. And I mean, it's not like Snute was going to produce anything anyway. He has no income. At this point, Snute is the one that has to attack and make something happen. Kelazhur knows that, so he's going to do these small drops and at the same time make sure he doesn't engage too early with his army. But now might be the time here for him to try and end this. He's getting 4 Vikings at a time. Remember, there's only 3 Corruptors, and I mean, I guess there's 8 Infestors that are still pretty dangerous, but these guys cannot clean up everything by themselves, Maynard.
You're absolutely right. Correspal's going down, getting those Widow Mines. Snute taking the high ground away from Kelazhur. Kelazhur floating over to try and get income from that base, but he realizes, Zerg army right here need to just be patient. I think patience is key here for Kelazhur. He's in a lovely spot. Just don't throw your army away in a bad, unfavorable engagement.
The only way Snute can win this is if he lands a couple perfect Fungals on top of this Terran army, holds it in place, takes it down, and then goes for the economy of Kelazhur, takes it out, and then from there, I guess he would have enough to win the game.
The boys have been pulled.
Yeah, Kelazhur, that's the only thing he needs to not let happen, is to get his entire army fungled. And for that, he's going to keep on scanning the middle of the map, make sure he knows where these Infestors are at all times.
And I mean, even taking out Tech here doesn't really matter, in my opinion.
Oh, he's trying to come in from behind.
Oh, wow. These Vikings actually going to catch some of the Broodlords. Big funnels going down the Viking cluster, but the army of Snute is actually separated here. And Crystal Pile's going to hit a lot of the bio here from Kelazhur over there. It's just still too much for the Brazilian Terran. I think this is it, Todd. The Medivacs keeping all the bio alive. The Vikings still ruling the sky. And that's it. GG. Kelazhur with a massive upset on stage. He cannot believe it. 3-2 against one of the greatest foreigners of all time in StarCraft 2. And he will be in the quarterfinals. A great day for Kelazhur and a massive day for OSC Root. 2 of their team members in the quarterfinals here in the WCS Season 1 final. Incredible performance from Diego, earning himself a spot there in that round of 8 with Cham, his teammate, and Major, otherwise known as Special these days, the second Terran in that round of 8.
Years of practice, 3 months of hardcore practice in Korea as well, and there he is getting into the quarterfinals.
I'm elated for him. Let's see what he has to say with Smix on the stage.
What a fantastic series, by far my personal best series of this tournament so far. So much to talk about, but we'll get to that in a second because we have to highlight, Diego, this is the first time you've made the round of 8 of a premier event with a $100,000 prize pool, especially over an established player like Snute. How happy are you right now?
Words cannot describe how I feel right now.
Definitely a lot of fans you have for you in this audience. So let's just jump right into that series against Snute. It seemed like such a difficult style to play against. As you were playing against him, did you feel like how well you did was dependent on the maps, or was it just about getting used to his style?
Well, my plan going into the series was to play exactly like how I practiced. So I did the builds by map, not by my opponents. So everything I did was things I do normally on the ladder. So I just played what I usually do.
And I was actually looking at your win rates, and you've been doing really well against Zerg lately. I think it's your highest win rate by far, 75%. Next up, you're going to be playing against a very, very strong Zerg player as well. Again, it's going to be Nurchio. So now that you've just taken out Snute, does that give you some additional confidence going up against Nurchio?
Yeah, it definitely gives me a lot of confidence. And I think I'll have to change my game plan because Nurchio is quite a different opponent from Snute. So we'll see what I can do.
All right, well, congratulations again. It was such an amazing series for all of us to watch. And of course, with that, it'll be Kelazhur moving on to the round of 8.
Unbelievable performance by Kelazhur here, able to defeat Snute in the round of 16, our last round of 16 match as a whole. And he's beaten Neeb, he's beaten Snute here at this tournament. It's by far his best showing at a tournament ever.
Damn good series, best games I've ever seen played out of Kelazhur, hands down.
Well, let me just be the party pooper for you optimistic people then. He hasn't done squat yet. Round of 8, that's great. But unless this guy wins the tournament, I don't care. I don't care. How about that?
Do you have a straight feed from Twitch chat?
I have to. Someone's got to represent him. No, it's an amazing, great series. Goes to game 5. The 2 losses that he suffered looked insurmountable. It looked like he was just feeding wood chipper stuff. It was bad. But he was able to come back, and that micromanagement and also the multitasking in that 5th game was very good. Yeah. Very good.
Yep.
Very impressive to see that kind of result coming out from Kelazhur. Let's check in with the brackets to see exactly how things have ran down in the entirety of the round of 16 and moving into the round of 8. There are top 8 players going to be representing all countries from across the globe, as Cyril and Special is going to be the first match that we will be seeing here throughout all of this. Aside from maybe Kelazhur, are there other surprises there going into the round of 8 for you boys?
Cham, absolutely amazing. We've seen him do fairly well in a previous WCS tournament as well, but for him to make the top 8 here, beating who he did, is really impressive.
Yep.
Not as much probe. I think that was a cool Cinderella story there as well, but before that, Cham beat a lot of good Protosses to get here, so pretty nice.
I'm just happy that my boy Neeb is still in it. And Kelazhur he's definitely a surprise pick. When I thought about Terran players, I'm like, who on earth is going to make it far in this tournament for the Terrans? You know, Special Major plays so haphazardly, like comes into these tournaments, we always talk him up, and a lot of the time, it's usually like a disappointment for whatever reason or another. Like he doesn't make those crazy deep runs.
For years, it didn't even turn up.
He doesn't actually make the deep runs that we say he can unless he's
No.
playing a TvT against a Korean in WCS 3 years ago. So I had to pick somebody else. I wanted to pick you, Thermal. I'm very surprised that Diego made it this far, and I'm super stoked for him because he's actually playing better than I expected. And he's a nice guy. I like him a lot. I want to see him go far in this tournament.
He's done great. It's a shame he's going to get smashed by Nurchio.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your closing thoughts, gentlemen. We are going to take a break, and when we are back, it's more action here from the WCS Austin.